Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza for the fourth round of the 2020 Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, which I guess you could now call the 2021 Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking time out of your Friday to come spend some time here and watch our lovely racing festivities here at the Italian Grand Prix, as it is known in Formula 1, but for our purposes, it'll be known as the fourth round and the second round of the new year for the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. Well, after last week's broadcast that, had a couple of hiccups from time to time, but overall some great racing. Definitely the best attended race I've ever put on. The turnout from you guys at home was incredible. It was an amazing time, and hopefully I can do it justice this week with an equally incredible track that I hope will be a pleasure for providing plenty of racing action that will be very thrilling to those of you at home. But yes, thank you all for coming out to that, and thank you all for coming out tonight. We're starting a little bit earlier than usual, which means we have time for the usual pre-show festivities. We have 5 minutes until the qualifying session opens, and these 14, possibly 15 drivers, depending on who was able to make it in the last couple of minutes. Depending on what kind of times we run, we could see a more busy qualifying session or a less busy one. But for the time being, when we have that free time, get some pre-show stuff done. First of all, I sometimes forget to mention it, but I'm your commentator for tonight and for all the races throughout the series, Marshall Crocker Jr. I'm also the series director for those of you that aren't familiar with the series or haven't watched races in the past. It's a series that is sort of a spiritual successor, you could say, to the Carts to Computers Racing Series, a series I ran, also broadcasted on YouTube last year, that was meant to take drivers from the karting world and from all over the world that would normally have racing commitments that they were unable to make for the, obviously COVID-19 reasons, and give them an opportunity to race in a manner that was still, competitive, that was put on with, commentary and the ability for people at home to watch the racing action. And in that case, that happens to be all of you. So as always, thank you for coming in on behalf of the drivers. It's always a pleasure to have whoever takes the time out of their Friday to come out and watch. But there we go. There is me, hatless. I did have a cowboy hat in last week's photo. I'm trying to change it up for every week, so let's see if we can find a worse photo of me to put up there. I'm not exactly the most photogenic selfie taker, so that was the best I could do. But first of all, before we get to qualifying in a couple minutes, let's look at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, better known as just Monza or the Italian Grand Prix. Now you see that little shadowed out oval there? That is the oval configuration that they used to use way back in the day. This is the map since 2000 that has been used at Monza. So there is the 11 corners that make up this world famous track, including the world famous Curva Parabolica, better known as Parabolica by most in the racing world. So it's a track with a surprisingly difficult set of corners, but it doesn't look like that many, and it certainly doesn't look like some tricky angles. So it's one that you'll definitely have to see, and in a moment we're going to do a qualifying lap with one of your qualifying participants tonight, just to get a better idea of what we're looking at. It's definitely not a very vertically diverse track like we saw at Road America. That would have been 3 or 4 weeks back for round 2. But it's definitely one that has its own set of challenges and difficulties. But that 1-2 chicane there you see to start the lap is definitely where we're going to see plenty of passing opportunities all throughout the race. That's one that in the practices is definitely a spot of contention for many. We had many almost incidents, but many passes that did succeed there. So that'll be a definite spot to watch for the rest of the night. But after that Curva della Roggia 4 and 5 chicane as well, very similar in manner, very similar in angle as well, just the other direction. So we'll also see some more passing opportunities there. And then that very high-speed section between 6, 7, and then up to the famous Ascari chicane there, 8, 9, and 10, a 3 apex chicane there. So one that, through its combination of difficult angles and very tricky rumble curves, is one that's very difficult to make passes in, but is definitely an opportunity to make up a lot of time to those ahead. So much to go through on this track, so we'll wait until we can get a good lap with one of our drivers before we head to the real thing. So that's your current practice lineup at the moment. We're going to go to the proper championship graphic before we get started here, but that is how everybody did in practice. Mr. Jablonski, I don't remember his first name. I don't believe he'll be running in tonight's race. I believe he's just going to be spotting for the number 9 of Caleb Campbell. So Mr. Joshua Jablonski ran a really competitive time, actually. It would be a pleasure to see in the future if he wanted to join permanently. But for the time being, he will be on the side of Mr. Caleb Campbell there in the 9 car, who's definitely a driver to watch in tonight's race, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, let's just get started and put up your... there we go. Oh, we get a little out here, so turn that down just a tad. But yeah, here is your championship standings coming into tonight's round at Monza on, as you can see, Friday, January the 15th, 2021. Logan Paxley, your championship leader, coming into tonight's race, won the first 2 rounds of the season in a relatively commanding fashion, I would say, though the race at Road America was probably a little bit closer than Logan would have liked. But we went last week to Texas, and I don't really do the pre-race recaps as I used to in the older series. I usually just assume that those who wanted to watch it will go back and watch it if they'd like, and I have very little time pre-race, so I like to use it as best I can, but we're not just going to get into qualifying in a moment, but I do have time to go over this. So Logan Pax's championship lead, which I believe is about to 21 or 22 point gap prior to round 3 at Texas Motor Speedway, has been cut down a little bit with Andrew Bedrosian finishing 4th just outside of the podium. Just saw a car. That was Rich Flino in the background there. If you saw in the shot, just absolutely wiped out. That was a impressive moment for sure. But Logan Paxa, still your championship leader, still a 10-point gap to Andrew Bedrosian. He's a guy that I know in the practice races has shown tons of pace, so I know he's going to be going for his 3rd win of the season, go undefeated at road courses to start the year, and I'd imagine he's definitely a favorite to do so, but also a favorite to win tonight's race and pick up his 1st win of the season. Andrew Bedrosian in the number 5 car, running a new entry for tonight and probably for the rest of the season in terms of paint scheme. Another guy that in practice has been absolutely flying all week. Had the pleasure of racing him yesterday in our practice race, and it was an absolute joy because always a competitive guy, always somebody you can try to use as a guideline for times and testing it really how quick you can be. And him and I had a pretty good battle for a while yesterday. He got the better of me in that particular instance, and we'll see if he can do the same against Logan Paxett today. But he is only 10 points off, so definitely still in contention to take the points lead even as soon as tonight's race. After that, Woody Mahan rounds out the top 3. Did come away with a 2nd there in last week's race at Texas. Came very close to beating his personal iRacing teammate in a lot of other series with Latipedal Motorsports. His teammate, Michael Krobach, who did win the race in his one-off appearance. But then Tim Salvatore had been great all season, only 3 points back of that final podium spot. I know he'll definitely be gunning for a good points-paying position in tonight's race, so he rounds out the top 4 there. Then David Paxa, about a 20-point gap off to the end of the top 5. David Paxa, father of Logan Paxa, has been really consistent all season, consistently running in the top 5. I believe he's tied for the 2nd most of anybody with 2. Not that many drivers have finished in the top 5 twice so far this season, so very impressive that he's been able to do so. You see the qualifying graphics down there on the bottom to just allow you to know who is running quick times as we get into the start of qualifying. But rounding out the top 6, that's Marshall Crocker Sr. there in the 15 car, just a couple points back at David, so he could hop into the top 5 with a good performance today. Manuel Guerra there in the number 12 car. After that, another guy who stayed very consistent all year, looking for a good finish tonight. Tanner Dignard there in 8th, tied with Carl Dronka in 9th, both at 64 points apiece. Caleb Campbell rounds out the top 10, just outside of those 2 ahead of him, so could see lots of championships swapping around there in the midfield as a result of tonight's event. Then Rich Flino, Jack Hillier are your next 2 drivers. Michael Krobach, who made his one-off appearance last week there in the 72 car, picked up 51 points as a result of winning, so only one race jumps up to 13th in the points, which is kind of absurd if you think about it, but got as many points as he could and absolutely made the most of his appearance, and we will see, if I had to guess, him back in Indianapolis in a couple weeks for his next oval appearance. But after that, Trevor Anderson, who has only participated in 2 races so far, but was absolutely incredible at Road America and still very competitive last week at Texas, so he'll look to have a good finish tonight, I would imagine. Try to work his way up the points even further. Max Preston, John Guerra after that in 15th and 16th. Justin Lewick tonight looking to make some noise. I know he's making his 2nd appearance after showing up to Texas last week, looking to return to the series after his injury that he suffered in a real-life racing incident last year. Let's see what he can do. He's run really quick as well in his practice efforts that I've seen, so I'm definitely looking to perform well tonight at Monza. And Renee Hart in the 00 car with 16 points. I don't believe was able to make it tonight, but he will round out your field. That being said, let's get ready to go into qualifying. We'll get up your timing tower over there and get your session timer. So I believe we should be about 2 or 3 minutes into qualifying. Right, indeed. About 2 minutes there. So let's go pick a car. We'll get your lovely in-car sounds on so you can hear all the action from tonight's race. Some really cool camera angles here at Monza. I would love to claim that I'm the one actively doing them, but I know very little about iRacing's camera system, so these are all automatically provided by iRacing themselves. But there we are now on board with Tim Salvatore. Right behind him, Logan Pax, a series points leader. That's the 91 of Salvatore in the white, green, and black car. And right behind him in the blue and yellow is Logan Paxa. Very loud Indy Pro cars here. Try to get to a fair level where you can hear their noises as they go around. But very fast circuit, very big track. You'll hear lots of very loud engine noises tonight because, man, these cars can push the horsepower to their limits. And Now we're going to go on board with Andrew Bedrosian, second in the points tonight, looking for, I believe, his second pole of the year. Picked one up at Charlotte Roval to start off the season. The number 5 car that he's using the Ferrari livery. I believe it's the 2019 F1 livery that he'll be using, I believe, for the rest of the season. Nicknamed this car Eleanor. Andrew Bedrosian is well known for naming his cars as custom names, like people often do with personally owned sports cars. So Andrew and Eleanor are looking to set their first time of the race so far, running the 3 best sectors of anybody through the first 3. So that is certainly a positive sign if you're an Andrew Bedrosian fan. That'll set a good lap here in qualifying. Going to come through Parabolica this time. I believe he'll be the first driver to set an official lap here as he comes through the final corner. I believe Logan Paxa will have leapfrogged him there in the 3rd sector. So Andrew now only taking credit for the first 2 sectors and then the 4th. So let's see what kind of lap time we'll be able to put down. Maybe something in the 146s. 146.764. So for a first lap tonight, that is an absolute flyer. I believe the most competitive lap times we'll see without the draft tonight will probably be somewhere in the 146.4s, maybe the 5s. So to start off with a 146.7 is an absolutely incredible lap time. I believe a couple more drivers in behind are just about to finish their laps. Tim Salvatore is going to come through Parabolica, loses the back end in the through the dirt, so the 91 will have to head back into the pits to reset his lap time. A couple drivers did just pass by and set their laps. Justin Lillick, Rich Foligno, as well as Tanner Dignard a little ways back up the road in the 55 car, all setting times. So Justin Lillick, I talked about making his second appearance of the season, and he's going to be competitive tonight, running in about the 147.5s, which is about as quick as I ran my first lap in qualifying yesterday. So getting it started, and some guys just take a little bit longer to warm up than others, so we'll see if that happens to be the case for him. Gonna head back a little ways, see where David and Logan Paxa are. The father-son duo are no doubt looking for some good qualifying performances tonight, as Logan has been privy to this season. I believe he's either 1 or 2 poles on the season. Can't remember if he was on pole at Texas, but he's had an incredible start to the year so far. Of course, your points leader and David Paxa sitting in the top 5 as well, so a lot of stakes for these two in terms of what they can do here in qualifying. Let's go to Carl Dronka there in the 38 car, coming out of Parabolica, just about to cross the line. Where will he go in the order? Second, only 7.5 tenths down on Andrew Bedrosian, so great way to start the night for Mr. Dronka in the 38 car. Fairly competitive in the points, but by the end of Road America, he was really starting to pick up some pace, and I believe he was finished 4th in that race. So Carl Dronka, definitely a dark horse contender to watch out for tonight. I know that Andrew Bedrosian and Logan Paxa are always the definite good favorites in terms of pace going into any race, as they tons of time to put in. Very familiar with the service, very familiar with open wheel racing, but you never know. Occasionally we get somebody a little bit out of the ordinary that pops there into the top 3, and some guys just have great weeks where they have tracks they like, get to put in tons of time, and then things get really competitive. Speaking of competitive, Andrew Bedrosian will come just a couple tenths off of beating his own personal time, but 146.7 will remain the provisional pole time with only 4 laps to go in the session. Let's head back to Rich Foligno, currently sitting 4th. Will he be able to improve as he crosses the line? Coming under the Autodromo Nazionale Monza bridge there. He will not improve, but Trevor Anderson in the 25 car. Looked like for a minute that he was going to improve, but then Rich Foligno leapfrogged him, so Rich with a 147.8. Great time for the 99 car. Foligno, Anderson running lap as well. Now David Paxa will come across with a lap just barely down off of that. Where did Logan go? He was right behind his dad, so he should have just run a lap a moment ago, but must have gone off track somewhere throughout the lap, because that lap will not be counted. Let's go see John Guerra as he runs across the line this time by. Doesn't look like he improves, so he will remain 7th for the time being. Looking throughout the field, though, so Rich Foligno getting his definitely his best qualifying performance of the season so far, at least provisionally. Trevor Anderson, who again was really quick at Road America, I think has the potential to do something tonight, at least as far as qualifying is considered. Now let's go back to Carl Dronka. Carl Dronka, who remember ran the lap a little bit earlier, just under 8 tenths down off Bedrosian's time, so he's got some personal bests here. If he can improve, he may have something to say about that, maybe the top spot, but at least the top 3. Come across this time. Sometimes they take a second to update. Doesn't look like it will, so doesn't look like Carl will improve that time by, so he will stay provisionally 2nd. Woody Mahan somewhere throughout the field as he comes across the line in the 84 car. Mahan will jump up to 5th, so he's going to push Trevor Anderson out of the top 5, just under Rich Foligno's time, so the two of them running very competitive lap times. I believe he's still under that 148 marker there. Usually a good competitive time in qualifying would be under that 148 mark. Now Bedrosian in the number 5 car. They come across your provisional pole sitter already sets 2 personal bests and track bests. He'll barely beat his time by about 27 thousandths, so that 146.7 time gets a little bit more competitive there at the top of the field. Still yet to see a time from Logan Paxa, who I believe will definitely put some competitive nature into that provisional pole there by Andrew Bedrosian. Nothing is set in stone at all. Rich Foligno jumps up to 2nd. Great lap for the number 99 car. Rich Foligno, a guy I talk a lot about in this series, always has the potential to do some great things, and looks like he's going to at least try to do it tonight. I know he didn't sound super confident coming in tonight about his abilities at Monza specifically, but the guy's always been fast, and he is proving it tonight, provisionally 2nd as he crossed that last time. Tim Salvatore sitting third in points as he comes through Parabolica on a pretty good pace here. I don't think he'll challenge for the top spot, but could certainly challenge for something decent throughout the order. A couple seconds off the pace. Yeah, it must have had a bit of a slip-up somewhere throughout the lap. I believe the lap will count, but probably won't be quite as high as he was hoping. Actually, it won't count for an official lap time. So now we look to the 15 of Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, running a very different livery than he usually does. Goes a little bit wide through Parabolica, but should still have a fair amount of pace that he runs through there with. So still just a couple seconds off of the other times in that midfield there. So should run an actual lap time here, and he's got 2 more laps, or more likely 1 more lap to try to beat it. Going to go 10th there into the top 10, but 3.3 seconds off the pole time. So still room for improvement, but you never know. It's always a possibility. I know my dad puts in a lot of work to these races, so if he can get something to stick, then he may put in a really competitive lap that could put him in the top 5. John Gary there, the only driver in the top 11 that has run a lap so far that is now pitted, so the rest of the drivers still trying to improve their lap times. Hard to keep up with who is where. Now Andrew Bedrosian should cross the line next in the 5 car. Can he beat his provisional pole time? 147.6. He will. By how much? Let's get an exact reading. 146.5. So really good lap again, getting even more competitive, almost pushing Foligno a second back there in second. The big question is, where is Logan Paxa on track? The series points leader who's been incredible at qualifying all throughout the season. Trevor Anderson looks to run a lap in just a moment. Anderson runs a 149, which I don't believe will beat his previous time. Oh, well, just slightly, so 148. For some reason, you got to take a second off what the timing tower claims is each person's time. Justin Lewick will stay 5th. Max Preston will go to 4th. Great lap by Preston. What will Paxa run? Paxa goes to the pole, 146.3 on his own. An incredible lap time. It's hard to even put into words just how quick that is running on one's own without the draft. So Paxa will go provisionally to pole. Now Bedrosian, can he beat it? I believe he has one more attempt to do so as we're coming to the end of qualifying. Paxa doesn't even want to come out for another lap. I guess he doesn't think he's going to be able to top that performance, and fairly so. Tim Salvatore will finally get a lap in, and he'll go 9th. So 14 drivers completing a time in tonight's event. I believe that's everybody who's running in the race. Actually, Manuel Garrett and Jack Hillier have yet to put in a time, so it'll be 16 drivers in tonight's race if everybody comes out and runs a lap, which is great to see. Another great turnout. Even after last week's 18, I was wondering how much we dropped down by, and still great numbers. So thank you to all the drivers for coming out tonight. It's always a pleasure from my end to have as many guys to call as possible. But that is Andrew Bedrosian in the number 5 car. Again, we'll see if he's able to improve upon his time. Only faster in the second sector, actually slower than his personal best in 1 and 3. Not too much change throughout the rest of the field for now. So Max Preston, who we saw run the great lap a moment ago, will jump up to 5th. Dronka will jump up to 3rd. So we'll now drop back in within a second of Paxa. So a great lap there from him in the very low 147s. Andrew is probably the last guy left to challenge for provisional pole. Will he do it? Can Andrew take pole for the 3rd time this year? Improves, but not enough. Half a tenth off of Paxa's pole time. Comes so close. It looks like Paxa will take the 3 bonus points for running the quickest lap of the night. But Rich Foligno in the 99 car, still running, but is off the pace, so probably done for the night. Let's see about Tanner Dignard. Can he put in a faster time there? Ran a personal best in the first sector, ran off his personal best in the next 3 actually, so chances are will not improve it. But Justin Lulick will improve, go up to 4th on the timing tower. Great work from the driver making his 2nd appearance of the season there in the number 7 car, running the Dams livery from F2, I believe. Or sorry, Formula 2, for those of you that aren't familiar. But Tanner Dignard, Tim Salvatore's off the pace. Marshall Crocker could still be putting in a competitive time there in the 15 car. He's got a couple more minutes left to do so. As we see, he comes through the world-famous Ascari chicane, turns 8, 9, and 10 here at Monza. Now into the very long straightaway here up to Parabolica. If he can run a quick time, Tim Salvatore will jump up to 4th as well. For some reason, he wasn't showing up on my timing tower device there, but he will go 4th there. So great time there from the number 91 car, sitting 3rd in points, now 4th in tonight's session. Carl Dronka will maintain his spot in the top 3 as he comes through Parabolica. Can Crocker improve? He's running a good pace, so I think he should. No, he'll head into the pits. Decides against running one more lap. So Woody Mahan, I guess, is still in contention to run his as he comes through Parabolica. Is he going to improve? Where is Woody sitting currently in the timing sheet? About a second and a half down, sitting in 8th. Now he's going to be a little bit too slow to improve if the timing tower is to be trusted. No, he's just going around to come back into the pits. Some drivers like to go all the way around, make an official entry onto pit road, and some just park it on the side and send it back to the pits. So to each their own. Everybody has their own way they'd like to finish the session. 18 viewers in the chat. I just noticed on YouTube. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Always a pleasure, and hopefully we can provide you a great race tonight, and no issues on my side with the broadcast so far, and hopefully it stays that way. But we got to hurry because it's only half of a warm-up lap as opposed to some tracks where you do the full warm-up here at Monza. So let's get your qualifying results in before we head to tonight's race. Just a quick disclaimer before we run through the starting spots for tonight's race. Joshua Jablonski, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, will not be running in tonight's race. He will be spotting for the number 9 of Caleb Campbell. So he is just kind of a place sitter on that list. But your pole sitter tonight for the second time this season, possibly the third, depending on whether he was on pole at Texas, which I can't remember. But Logan Paxa with a 146.383, still an absurd time to run without the use of the draft. So great work there from Logan tonight. Will be your pole sitter and get the 3 bonus points as a result. But Andrew Bedrosian there next to him in the number 5 car, starting in the outside lane in the Ferrari livery here at Monza in Italy. The Italy fans there love their Ferrari, so maybe that'll come in handy for him tonight with the virtual crowd. But he will start second, running only a half a tenth down on Logan Paxa. Came so close, still a very competitive time. Really looking forward to seeing what they do throughout the race. After that, Carl Dronka running there in third with his kind of partner there in the top. No, that's just wrong. Carl's, I was going to say they're partners in third and fourth in the championship, but Tim Salvatore is followed by Woody Mahan in the championship. So Carl Dronka, though, still mid-pack, and this is a great qualifying spot for his efforts. So great to see that he did so well tonight. After that, Tim Salvatore, who we can't get a view on because he isn't in the session yet. But after that, Justin Lulick starting in 5th with Rich Foligno to his outside. Then Max Preston starting in 7th, making his second appearance of the season. Then Woody Mahan there in 8th. All drivers are now on the grid, so we should go momentarily. Actually, Josh Jablonski isn't here, so I have extra time to run through this field. Woody Mahan there in the number 84 car. After that, Trevor Anderson in 9th. David Paxa, Logan Paxa's father, there on the pole. So Paxa rounding out each end of the top 10. Marshall Crocker Senior there in 11th. John Guerra in 12th. Tanner Digner there in the 13th spot. Had a great race last week at Texas. Let's see if he can follow it up here in round number 4. Caleb Campbell to his outside. Another guy who could be a dark horse for tonight. Ran very well and very consistently in the practice races this week. So putting in plenty of work. Let's hope it pays off for him. Another Ferrari livery with the 29 of Jack Hillier there starting in 15th. And Manuel Guerra will start 16th. Well, let's head back up. It's been a pleasure to get all the pre-race officially done for once. Sometimes we run out of time, but well, now we can get things stacked up, doubled up, and ready to go for tonight's race. And hopefully you're all ready for some crazy action tonight, because Monza is kind of the speed capital of F1, and I'd imagine it'll be something very similar here at our 4th round of the season here in Italy for us. So let's hope we can get some competitive racing going between these guys off the start, but at the same time, hopefully we can get some clean action for the first couple races. You never want to caution too early to start things off, so let's hope we can get some generously aggressive action until we can get things all figured out. Everybody can get up to speed, figure out their tires, figure out their lines, and well, from there by the end of the race, let's hope we can get a good battle for the win. Logan Pax has won both the road courses so far this season. Of course, Michael Krobach, who will not be running this race, won last week at Texas. So will Andrew get his first win of the season? Will Carl get his first win of the season starting off the end of the podium spots in qualifying? Will Tim Salvatore be able to have something to say about maybe putting himself in the top step of the podium for the first time this year? Multiple podiums this season. The Porsche pace car leading the field. It's going to head off and on a pit road in just a moment, take the right-hander. Will somebody from the rest of the field shock us, get their first podium of the season? So much up in the air tonight at Monza. Thank you all for watching. Let's get ready to go here. Logan Paxa is the control car. The field is in his hands. Green flag momentarily here at Monza. Logan gets the jump. Great jump off of Andrew in second place. Green flag at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza for the 4th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. Great jump there for Logan, already taken off from the cars behind. Bedrosian is still in his draft, though. Carl gets in a line with them as well, so the 3 of them are going to go straight into a line. Justin Lulick and Max Preston, good friends in real life in the 7 and 6 car there. Up the inside, Lulick makes the move there on Dronka. Can he avoid the back end of Dronka in the 38? Preston gets spun around by Salvatore. The 2 making contact, both get back up to speed. Woody Mahan as well, just behind them, manages to avoid. Rich Foligno will gain a spot as a result. It appears he lost the spot just a moment ago regardless. Woody Mahan now battling with Max Preston to his outside. Same with Rich Foligno and Tim Salvatore just a little ways up in the field. Guys madly trying to gain positions right off the start as a result of the chaos of that start through the first couple corners in the chicane. Foligno manages to hold off Salvatore, so he will take over sole possession to 5th place. Then it's Mahan Preston getting in a line. Anderson, Marshall Crocker Sr. has moved up 1 spot since the start. Caleb Campbell in the 9 car has moved up 3 spots as well. Who is that off track a little ways back? That's John Guerra there in the 11 car. Tanner Digner has headed off as well, possibly in a collision there with Guerra. Let's just check and see if that is the case. Let's go back and see what happened there. David Paxa in the 53 car, didn't even see him, went all the way over, so didn't get a caution, it would seem, as it technically a 1-car incident as all other cars were able to move off. Kind of just a miscommunication there. Tanner cut the corner a little bit tight, but David did get perhaps more of a bounce over the curb than the 55 was expecting. So tough incident, but David Paxa would go on his roof as a result and had to head back to the pit. So hopefully David gets some quick service and will be able to head back up to speed momentarily. But we do have a caution, so that makes things a little bit easier on me trying to get around to check out all the incidents, presumably for that incident with David Paxa. So, well, a chaotic first lap, and right as I was talking about, maybe we'll see a pretty clean start to the race. Didn't appear to be the case, but lucky if you're a David Paxa fan or one of the many Paxa family members that watch the race, as though, Logan, his son, is leading the race. At least David will probably have the opportunity to come back into the pits, get some service before the field comes around, and he will be able to rejoin the end of the line after using a quick repair. So, still in contention in this race. Logan Paxa will remain your leader after the first lap. Bedrosian, I think, didn't quite get the run he probably would have wanted on lap 1, or maybe it was intentional, but got a great draft and just stayed a little bit conservative, decided not to make the move, which I do respect. It's always tempting here at a track like Monza when you have this huge run up to the car in front to do something crazy and make something happen. But I'm glad he backed off and decided, no, let's just keep it safe. We got 35 laps. It's a long race, plenty of time to make something happen. So after lap 1, Paxa, Bedrosian, Dronka, Lewick, Foligno, your top 5. Let's show the positions gained, or at least the positions changed after lap 1. Not every driver necessarily gained a spot, but we can at least show you how many did. So there you go. There are the spots gained after the first lap here at Monza. Justin Lewick and Rich Foligno moving up 1 spot into 4th and 5th respectively. Tim Salvatore drops down 2 spots. We saw him make a contact there with Max Preston the moment before. Max Preston losing a spot, and Woody Mahan being the beneficiary there, moving from 8th to 7th on the first lap. Then Trevor Anderson remained in 9th after qualifying. Marshall Crocker Sr. moved up into the top 10. Caleb Campbell. I used to call him Chase Campbell. I have a friend named Chase Campbell who I did used to know through racing games. So I partially know him as a result of that, and sometimes I'll mix them up. So apologies to Caleb. I swear I do at heart know your names. Just sometimes you can get confused with different people. But Manuel Aguirre after that up 5 spots, technically 4 spots, because he started behind what is Mr. Jablonski's first name? Spotting for Caleb. I can't remember his first name there. Joshua Jablonski. So Josh Jablonski, of course, not running in tonight's race. So he will not actually factor in there, but technically Manuel Aguirre will pass him, so up 4 spots from the start of the race. I just checked the chat. We saw the request for the track map, so I will put that up as well. It's actually fairly small tonight. I was just trying to keep it out of the way for the start of the race while the action went down, but as you can see, everybody is grouped up, and David Paxa, I believe, has left the pits. No, that's the 29 car of Jack Hillier, so Hillier will rejoin the back of the pack, and if David Paxa can come out of the pits before the field makes their way around, he will hop onto the end of the line and get back up to speed. So there's the line, just sitting behind the pace car. Probably going to finish at this lap, and then 1 more lap to go, and then we'll be back to green on lap 4. So it'll be a crazy race, everybody. Really hoping it'll be more so on track rather than the caution that we saw there to start it off. But even then, everybody seemed to make it through the first couple corners well. Not too much chaos up there until that corner, which was just as a result of a small miscommunication between 2 drivers. So not the biggest deal, at least not in my personal opinion. But Logan Paxa, again, your pole sitter, a guy that all throughout the season we've seen has kind of just had a sense of comfort about him. You know, he's had some tough scenarios where, you know, things haven't always been the easiest for the 16 car. Remember a couple races back there at the Roval, didn't start on the pole. It took quite a ways into the race before he was able to become the race leader, and after that he didn't look back. So definitely not saying that things are going to be easy again tonight, but, you know, he ran very well in practice all week, ran very well in qualifying, but well, the big threat, as always, for him is the 5 car of Andrew Bedrosian. Again, looking for his first win of the season, but I think he's won 2 or 3 practice races off track. So let's see if he can translate that success through Monday and Thursday over to Friday. And I'd say if there's any track he could do it at, discounting the obvious advantage you get from running a Ferrari livery at Monza, definitely a guy that if he can just, you know, plan his actions out long term, think kind of like Logan does in a lot of races, I think it'll absolutely play to his benefit, and he's definitely got the pace to make something happen. So we'll see if he does something on this next restart, or if again he decides to wait a little bit longer. Now Carl Dronka there in the 38 car, a car that in the race at Road America, kind of just always present. Didn't really seem to make any mistakes after the very beginning of the race where he headed off track. Managed to save it after that and stayed super competitive. So the lights on the pace car are still on, so we're going to go around one more time after that. David Paxa did manage to come out of the pits ahead of the pace car, so he will get his lap back. We're going to go around 2 more times. It's going to be a little bit of time, but just bear with us and we will be back soon. But yeah, so Carl's had a great start to the year and ran pretty well at Road America after that, coming away with a 4th after some guys misjudged, you know, fuel amounts and things like that, the little things. So again, that's what I always tell the guys, you know, pre-race or whenever anybody asks if they want any advice for the week. Just think big picture, like where you are after lap 1, where you are qualifying or practice or in the practices leading up to the race really has no effect over how you're going to do necessarily in the real event. It's just all about what you can do over the course of a long, you know, 35 lap race, which I know isn't a crazy long race, and tonight should be a lot shorter than some of our other broadcasts, but it's not an amount of time to the point where laps or passes you make on lap 1 are going to stick the entire way, or somebody passing you at the start is going to matter. I mean, I think I bounced through at the field all from 10th to 1st, back to 10th, back to 2nd the other day in our practice race. Like, there's so much variety, and especially with a bigger field, anything can happen. So we saw it there in the positions gained and lost, that definitely holds true for some of the drivers. For the time being, we're going to head to Logan Pax's onboard cam for the next little bit. We have a little bit of time to kill, so I can kind of walk you through the lap here at Monza before we go green the next time by. So here is the 16 car of Logan Pax, running that blue and yellow Tyrrell livery. Tyrrell is for those of you that are unfamiliar with F1, is a very old F1 team, I think from the 90s, that was rebranded into some team that still exists. F1, go through a bit of an F1 history lesson here while we're waiting, is a series that teams switch possessions all the time, so usually rather than just getting rid of an old team and starting a new team, you just take the old team, you give it a new name, and then take all their assets and start a new operation. So I think Tyrrell turned into something else, but they were a very famous F1 team back in the day. But now that we're done that, we can head back to the actual track here at Monza, and you can see on the track map where we are for reference of where we are in the lap and what certain parts of the track look like. But so this is probably the second largest chicane of the entire track, this downhill, uphill section that is very, very dangerous to pass in, especially with the slipstream up the hill, because as we come to the famous Ascari chicane here in turns 8, 9, and 10, that little squiggle you see right, if you think of it as the boot, as you know, I think of it, the track laid up Monza, you can kind of see like a sock or a foot there. Right on the top of the foot, it's like a wart sitting on top of the foot is what the Ascari chicane looks like. So that's what we're coming through right now. But you see the rumble curbs there on the right side, those yellow and black curbs, some on the left as well. Those are absolutely brutal to run over. The tires here in the Indy Pro are so light and so thin, so bounces over them can massively shake up the handling of the car, get the back end a little unsettled, or the front tires as well. So if we see a lot of crashes just unprovoked between the leaders and throughout the course of the race, more than likely going to be an Ascari. It's probably the easiest corner on the whole track to mess up by one zone. Very tough to hit the apexes lap after lap. Should be one lap to go as we come by the next time. The lights on the pace car will turn off as we come through. This is Parabolica, world famous corner. Kind of a two apex corner in a way, but it's one of those corners that just isn't really designed for racing. It's very, well, it is, but it's very bizarre. It doesn't feel natural at all. The natural apex that you take, trying to carry your speed all the way through as many would, takes you off into that kind of light green section there off the outside of the track on the left, which is illegal. Drivers that are running through that will not only lose time, but you also get incident points that add up towards hypothetically a disqualification in our series. But I don't think we've had to properly assign one yet. This is the first race where we've applied an official rule. Lights on the pace car do turn off, so we're going to go green this next time by. But now down the famous front stretch here, the podium is up to the right in a little balcony that we just passed. So all the pit buildings, the facilities that are world famous for Monza, definitely one of the best tracks you'll ever go to. This is what I've heard in the opinion of many that have been there. I, of course, have never been to Italy, never been to Europe, but hoping one day when this terrible situation that is the world figures itself out. But now it's turns 1 and 2. On the right side, you see the pit exit there. That big, long, white line kind of serves as an invisible barrier to tell people to stay on that side as they're coming out of the pits. And then you head into the turns 1 and 2 chicane here. Logan carried a lot of speed through there. He's, I guess, trying to practice his apexes as he comes through, but manages it well. Of course, the pace car isn't textured, so if you hit it, you're perfectly fine. But that would be a situation that in real life would be very dangerously close. And it's because that 1 and 2 chicane is just so difficult. You know, the 2 apex is not exactly 90 degrees. You kind of expect chicanes to be 190 degree right-hander, 190 degree left-hander, whereas they're the kind of weird hairpins that don't necessarily feel natural with the flow of the car. So very difficult to make, but Logan has been making it well all race, and that's another passing spot into the entry zone there. But if two guys try to go side by side through there, we could see a lot more incidents like we saw with Salvatore and Preston there to start the race. Now under this big blocky bridge, which I thought had an advertisement on it, but it doesn't, so it just looks very out of place. But into the second chicane of the lap, these turns 4 and 5 here, kind of similar, but the curbs are a little bit easier to hit, and it's more of that 90 degree chicane that I talked about a moment ago. So easier to make passes in. I would still heavily advise guys not try to make passes with it side by side throughout the course of the race, but again, they're racing drivers, so you can never control what they're going to decide to do. So this is now the two 90 degree right-handers that are really tough to keep on the track. It really pushes the grip on the outside tires, trying to catch the car as it runs through the corner. Very easy to run off into the outside gravel there, or even hit some of the pit sign or the distance of the corner signs we just went by a moment ago. An identical corner there as well, and then we get back onto this long straightaway that we began our little tour with at the beginning. So that is a lap around Monza. Of course, unfortunately, the stupid pace car there in front, kind of blocking the lovely scenery, but you can get an idea of just how beautiful Monza does look is looking at even just looking at a simulator such as iRacing, it kind of gives you an idea of the real life, infrastructure and layout and scenery of the track, which is certainly not going to compare to the real thing, but definitely gives you an idea of just how exciting this track and many others on iRacing look. And tracks are always more than just a track map and a layout and a boot picture. They're definitely not living and breathing, but they have a lot of personality to them. So when we go Spa in a little ways down the road, I think that's our third to last round of the season for round 13. Those of you that remember that track will know it is full of vertical changes, so many pieces of scenery. It's just an amazing facility to look at. So, well, that's kind of my track review podcast of the race as we get ready to go green this time by. The lights on the pace car, as I mentioned, are off. So, guys are going to swerve back and forth and try to warm up their tires. Let's just head to somebody else, as we've been with Logan for a while in this run. So, Rich Foligno and Woody Mahan there, and you see in the middle of your screen. Trevor Anderson as well moved up 2 spots since the start of the race. He's making a good pace so far, running that 25 car you see with the white nose in the front of your screen. After behind him, Marshall Crocker Sr. trying to do the same thing, and Caleb Campbell ran very consistently and very well there in the practice races. So I think if he can get some certain circumstances around him tonight, Caleb Campbell definitely a dark horse contender to go for a podium spot tonight. But the Porsche pace car is going to take the right-hander off into pit road. What will Logan Paxa do here on this restart? Everybody's got a different plan. Some try to jump the start, some try to wait. Bit of a jump there for Logan, but green flag for the second time tonight at Autodromo Nazionale Monza for round 4 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. Great jump there for Logan. Let's look in behind him, see what he's got in his rearview mirror. Not many passes happening on track quite yet, but Rich Foligno with Woody Mahan is outside. Mahan might be thinking about making the move here. Quite a ways back. Everybody's spread out coming into turn 1. Foligno will hold him off and he'll defend to the inside, so Mahan won't be able to make the move there. Up a little bit further in the field, Bedrosian, your new race leader. What happened to Logan Paxa? Carl Dronco will make the move as well. Right as I talked about a little ways ago, some of these corners you just can't underestimate it, and Logan appeared to slip up there. We'll go back and look on a little bit what happened to him. Now Foligno will make the move on Paxa. Logan Paxa's dropped back to 5th on the very first lap. No, Mahan will try to make something happen. Guys trying to capitalize on the mistake for the championship points leader, and as they should, because always difficult to make a pass on Logan, so you might as well if the opportunity is there, but we'll have to see in a moment what exactly happened to the 16 car. But Andrew Bedrosian, now your new race leader. Carl Dronka and Justin Lillick will jump up into the top 3. Max Preston looked like it passed Tanner Dignard, or maybe Tim Salvatore got past. Yeah, Tim Salvatore lost a number of spots as well there. Probably had to fix damage on that last restart, but Caleb Campbell in the 9 car moves up to the 9th spot, quite fittingly. A little ways back in the field, Manuel Guerra and the John Guerra in the 2 identical-looking 11 and 12 Diabolique Motorsports cars from the old series. So, looks like kind of team orders there. John's going to head by Manuel, and more than likely David Paxa will also make the move on Manuel there for the 14th position. Yeah, the 53 car will make the move there, so David Paxa, after that incident where he flipped over in that last caution, will more than likely do his very best to make up some spots as well. Now, Carl Dronka right on the back end of the number 5 car. Again, Andrew is doing his very best to hold him off, but with these long straightaways, it can be so tough to get all the way around the track without giving up a move. So Trevor Anderson a little bit further back in the field. Rich Foligno was losing spots rapidly. Did he come off track? He did. Entire back wing of the 99 car Foligno missing. Let's see what happened to him, and then we'll go back to Logan Pax's incident as well. That was Trevor Anderson there in the 25 car that got into him, it looks like. So this is your replay from a moment ago, coming up to Parabolica. Up ahead, you can see Logan making the move there, and Justin Lillick as well, but that's Woody Mahan there in the 84, jumps to the inside. Trevor almost tries to go 3 wide there through the corner. It looks like he just clips him, kind of miscalculates his run into the turn. So Rich Foligno, who had such a good start, made the move up there to 3rd a moment ago. Now is going to have to limp his way back to the pits. Did he make it to pit road? No, he's going to continue running without a rear wing. Now is the time you got to question whether he knows that he is indeed missing one. But now Logan Paxo, we saw make the move on the 7 car of Justin Lillick a moment ago. Justin's still in contention for that position as well, is not backing off. Logan gets a little bit quicker through that last chicane, so he'll improve a little bit, make up a little bit of time, but still a long race to go. Justin's got plenty of time. Caleb Campbell is going to move up to the 8th spot, passes Marshall Crocker Sr. on track, who I believe was, just barely ahead of him. So Caleb Campbell there in the number 9 car, making huge moves throughout the race, 6 spots up from where he started. Rich Foligno is going to crash as well, and he'll head back to the pits, so presumably as a result of that damage he suffered a moment ago. No, Rich is not currently on track, but is still in the session, so good to see. Yeah, just an unfortunate incident there with Trevor Anderson. Just kind of wrong place, wrong time situation. Now we're going to go back to Justin Lillick. You see up the road, Logan must have run some great corners there mid-lap because he is starting to pull away, and is now going to try to catch up to the 38 car of Carl Dronka, who currently sits in the 2nd spot. But now up to your leader, Andrew Bedrosian, as he crosses the line to start lap number 7 in just a moment. Really everything he could ask for from the start of this race. Didn't do anything overly aggressive, didn't really have to make the move on Logan himself, just kind of waited for a mistake, and sometimes that is all you need to do. Max Preston is going to make the move here on Marshall Crocker into Parabolica, so the number 6 car is moving his way through the field. He did drop back after the start after his collision with Tim Salvatore. Tim Salvatore as well, another guy to talk about, has already gained a couple of spots in this restart, back up to 7th. Started 4th after qualifying, so making some progress, and we'll see if he can continue to do so. Next up is Trevor Anderson there on the bottom of your screen there in the 25 car, so still some work to do, but has the potential to make the moves he needs. Marshall Crocker Sr. will come into the pits there in the number 15 car. A little bit early in the race, you won't see any pit crews, but I assure you that there are virtual mechanics there to help fix his car, but he'll come in, allow Jack Hillier, Manuel Guerra, John Guerra, and David Paxa all to gain spots, so not sure what happened there to the 15 car. Max Preston somewhere on track. Looks like just as we talk about him making a move, is going to blink back to pit road. What happened to the number 6 car? Doing so well, just made the move on Crocker. Was it something that maybe they got into each other and both had damage, or was that just a mistake on the 6 car's part? Doesn't appear to be any damage for Max Preston as he comes through the 1 and 2 chicane. Kind of gets over the curb a little bit. Probably would have had a time penalty as a result of that. Up to full speed, a little bit on the curb. Okay, just immediately pulls off. Really not sure what to categorize that as. Would have had a time penalty, but you don't have to come back to the pits to serve those. You can just serve it on track. Logan Paxa making the move right now on Carl Dronka, but Carl's still going to have the draft coming out of the Ascari chicane. What a time to jump back to this battle. The 38 on the outside of the 16. Logan's going to immediately go to the inside lane. Carl doesn't go to the inside with him, tries to pick up the draft. They're going to try to go too wide here. At least that will be the ideal plan for the 38, who's actually going to slot in line instead. So Carl Dronka looked like didn't really want to put up much of a fight there through the straight. Just said, okay, I'm just going to sit in your draft and see if I can maybe make the move here. Going to jump to the outside again. See, if he was trying to make the move, I would have thought he would stick right to that back bumper of the 16 car. Try to get the slipstream all the way down the straightaway and then make the move into corner 1, but decides against it. He's just going to sit behind him for the time being. So Carl Dronka, got to wonder what the plan is there for him, but their driver is really letting Andrew Bedrosian run down the road too much. We're going to put up your gaps as well. Forgot that I didn't have those up, but so there's your gap between each driver now. Carl Dronka, right as I talk about him, is going to head off track. To exit to corner 2, always tricky as you get a little bit on the rumble strip, so he'll manage to save it. Great save there from the 38, collects the car up, and will continue his way down the road. But Justin Lewis, as you're going to see in the background here as we come under the bridge into turn 4, not too far down the road. Everybody's kind of getting in a parade and splitting up, but nobody's really far away enough in that top 10 really top 7 to not have the threat of making a move at some point throughout the lap. So Trevor Anderson and Tim Salvatore is probably the next battle on track, as long as none of the guys at the top of the field do have any incidents. So let's go back to Trevor Anderson there in the number 25 car, a guy that made his debut a couple weeks ago at Road America, missed the start of the season at Roval, so he'll use one of his drop races on that presumably, but he's still very competitive in the championship if he can keep up the results that he had at Road America. Up the road a little bit, you see Woody Mahan about 1.2 seconds off, so a little bit too far ahead to get the slipstream on him, but well, Tim Salvatore will most certainly have the draft there on Anderson as we come down the next straightaway. I think about 6 or 7 tenths off, which is certainly close enough to make the move there with the slipstream. That's about the window of which the cars will still be affected in terms of lifting off drag. So down the straightaway is going to have the slipstream he needs, but maybe a little bit too far back to make the move, at least as soon as this time into Parabolica. But you see just how close the rest of the field is. You saw in the background there Carl Dronka at the front coming into Parabolica on that last shot. So that should give you an idea of just how close these guys still are. Always the potential for one of these guys under green to make his way all the way up to the top 3, and I'd imagine we will see somebody with a surprise comeback tonight, just as we did at Road America. But now as we come down the front stretch, the 25 car with the 91 right behind. Anderson defending from Salvatore. He's going to have a great run coming up into turn 1. Is he going to dive to the inside? He will. Big move here from Salvatore. Can he get it woed up in time to make it into corner 1? Keeps it clean. Both guys keep their noses off each other, and Salvatore is passed. So come through turn 2, both guys make it past the gravel trap, and just like that, Tim Salvatore sitting 3rd in the points, now sitting 6th in tonight's race. Trevor Anderson is going to have to give up the spot there, but he's still making great time, so if he can just continue the consistent pace that he's had and keep his nose clean as he just did a moment ago, still a guy that could compete for a top 5 spot with plenty of time left in tonight's race. Won't make the move into the second chicane, but still staying competitive. Justin Lewick dropped out for a moment. Is he out of the session, or is he just out for... No, Justin Luke is out of the... What in the world just happened? Justin Luke just dipped off the timing tower and dipped off my screen. Is he still compete? Okay, so he's coming up to the second chicane there. Justin Luke, who was running 3rd at the time. That's Carl Dronka up ahead. Sorry, 4th at the time. That's Carl Dronka up ahead. Comes through the chicane. Outside... and just disappears. Is he back on the track? No. So Justin Lewick, running third at the time, completely disappears. Really hope that wasn't like internet or something like that, but so sudden for the guy that was really excited about this race, really excited to get to Monza, ran great times all week, definitely deserved the position he was running in, and was definitely, I think, going to try to track down Carl for third if he had anything to say about it, but is now entirely out of the session, so he'll join the list, including Max Preston, Tanner Dignard, and Rich Foligno. You saw Preston just suddenly dip off the track a moment ago. Foligno did the same. Tanner Dignard, I think, also would have had network issues, so... And Justin Lewick also, so weird. So many guys that with the same internet issue appearing to have trouble tonight. So it's a shame to see. Hopefully going forward, all those guys will be able to get stuff figured out. And all I think are still welcome to come back into the session. So if anybody can get their situation figured out, I'm sure they'll be back in a moment. But Trevor Anderson makes the move once again on Tim Salvatore into turn one. Right where Salvatore got him last lap. Must have run some great turns there mid-lap because Salvatore ran great pace the lap before. They go side by side through the exit. Anderson saves the back end. Almost lost it in corner two there. Remember, if you go into that gravel trap on the outside, it'll snap the back end around on you. But Salvatore still in the draft, going to go around coming into turn number 4. The start of this 1-2 chicane here. Can he make the move there on the inside? Anderson's going to give him the inside lane, but may try to outbrake the 91 to keep his position. The 91 will throw it inside, so Salvatore makes the move back. They've swapped spots 3 times in the last 2 laps, but now Salvatore will go wide. Anderson will get him again. The 25 back up to 5th. This battle for 5th has been raging. Look at, they're going to go side by side again through the 90-degree corner number 6. Salvatore back in front. That's 5 swaps in 2 laps. Look at the battle between Tim and Trevor. This has been an incredible couple laps. 2 really competitive guys that have been really all season putting their names in the hat for a podium spot. Of course, Tim's now done it once throughout the season at Road America, and as a result is third in the points. Manuel Guerra somewhere on track just went off. Looks like he's returned to the track. No noticeable damage for the number 12 car, so maybe just dipped a tire off a moment ago. But we got to go back to this battle between Tim and Trevor because, well, at the pace this is going, anything can happen between these two guys. They're now 10 laps into the 35-lap race, so not without cautions and stuff. Not probably going to be a very long broadcast, but that's good. Leaves more time for people to do whatever they want their Friday night. But again, this battle is not over. Trevor's still close enough in the slipstream to make a move down here into corner number 1, as we've seen happen on the last 2 or 3 laps recently. So maybe we'll see a move here. Right in behind is Trevor Anderson, waiting and biding his time. He's actually going to artificially hold up a little bit. He's not quite on the gas as hard as he would normally be. Kind of a strategy call that if he passes him too early on the straightaway, he still gives Tim the opportunity to make the move back, but actually maybe waited a little bit too long, didn't make the move that time by. Maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but for the time being, Tim Salvatore in the 91 will maintain the top spot, the final spot in the top 5, I should say, and continue his way down the road. We'll keep an eye on that battle going forward, but Caleb Campbell, your biggest mover in tonight's race, up 7 spots. He was a guy that pre-race I talked about was going to have something to say about doing really well tonight, and he has so far there. The number 9 car, who is getting spotted by Josh Jablonski, who ran a really good time in practice, so presumably has plenty of race knowledge. But the Oreo number 9 car of Caleb Campbell has had a great start to tonight. He's just getting the spots where he needs to, and we talked a little bit pre-race as well. And he was just saying his strategy for tonight is really just that, just kind of keep out of the way of people, let people do their thing, and he'll just take spots where they become available, and that's one thing that he's always been really good at. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes on his own, so good to see that he's doing so well. Carl Dronk in the 38 dipped away for a moment, now getting passed by not only Tim Salvatore, but Woody Mahan a moment ago. So Woody Mahan, who finished 2nd in the last race, he will move up to the 3rd spot. Not sure what happened to Dronka. We'll go back and look in a moment, and I apologize that I missed the Logan Pax incident at the start of this stint that dropped him at a 1st spot, but we've had such a busy last couple laps, haven't really had the chance. We'll go back in a moment, see if what happened to the 38 car, but now Trevor Anderson was right on his back bumper. Could try to make the move here into Parabolica if he gets enough of a slipstream. Maybe a little bit too far back for the time being, but up into turn 1 the next time down the front stretch, I'd imagine he'll have the opportunity once again. Runs a little bit better through Parabolica as well, so Carl on the inside, maybe he'll come into pit this time. I'm not sure what his plan is. It looks like he will. He's going to go way to the inside, so Carl Dronk in the 38 comes into the pits. You know that Trevor Anderson will move back up into the 5th spot without the need to pass Tim Salvatore, as he was trying to do for quite a while, but let's back up quite a ways to see what happened to the 38 car of Woody Mahan. What have happened through these this turn 6 and 7 combo? Way off the track goes the 38 car. So Carl Dronka through turn number 6 gets a little bit in the grass, loses the back end, taps the front nose off the wall there, washes out, but manages to save it actually for how much contact he took and how much the back end flicked on him there. That was a really nice save by the 38 car. So got very slightly in the way of Tim Salvatore, but Tim was able to avoid him and continue his campaign running away from Trevor Anderson as he's been doing the last little while. You see the two guys, speak of the devil, come past the past the bridge overlooking the entry to turns 4 and 5. So Tim Salvatore, for the time remaining, will remain in the 4th position. Just look throughout the field, see if we have any more battles developing. Doesn't look like it. Caleb, I'm going to keep doing it. Caleb Campbell and David Paxa there in 6th and 7th. Still going to continue to battle throughout the race, I would imagine, but a 3-second gap between the two of them. Marshall Crocker Sr. will make the move there on Carl Dronka, as Carl's still in the pits getting service, and Crocker, who did come into the pits a little bit earlier, I don't think he'll be able to make it on fuel, but will now provisionally take over the top spot, or the final spot in the top 10. Let's head back up to the lead very quickly before we head to a break. Andrew Bedrosian in the number 5 car, still your race leader there in the Italian number 5 entry, and of course Andrew is American, but driving the world-famous Ferrari livery there as he comes across the line this time to begin lap number 13, lucky number 13. Andrew remains your race leader. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure so far. Hopefully you're all enjoying the in the race that you've been seeing on screen. We're going to head to a very quick side-by-side little break here, and I will be back in just a moment. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the 4th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season at virtual Monza GP. And we're back with some proper coverage of tonight's race at Monza for round 4 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. Very cool camera view we were just provided here. Didn't know this was an option that they had here on the service, but now we're going to see the infamous trees in the way camera that as those of you that have stuck around for a while since last season of the Karting Computer Series will know that I love so much. Nothing I love more than when I'm trying to broadcast and iRacing says, do you know what would be nice to look at? These fake trees that we didn't put that much effort into rendering. But let's focus on the drivers for the time being. I have been checking the chat there from time to time, and I did when I went off for a moment. The track map, I will take it down from time to time, but generally speaking, I will try to keep it up. So I know it is a very convenient graphic, and it's definitely my favorite of the options provided by this graphics package. But I did put the call out, as Heather suggested, to Mr. Justin Lewick, who did head out of the race earlier for unexplained reasons, so I'd imagine probably internet or something of the sort, but if he is free and he's got things working, I have extended the offer to him if he wants to come into the booth and commentate like he did last year at our race at Charlotte, but I won't hold him to that, so we'll see if he's able to make that happen. But for the time being, let's head back up to your lead battle. About 2.3 seconds separating Woody Mahan and Tim Salvatore there for 3rd and 4th, and I'd imagine something will come of that in a moment, but for the time being, we will leave the 84-91 car and instead focus on the 5 and 16 car. So Let's maybe put a rear view camera here on the bumper of Andrew Bedrosian there, the number 5 car, so you can see behind him just how close that 16 car of Logan Paxa is getting. So kind of a different camera here. Hopefully this isn't too loud. This is traditionally a very loud camera, but so this is looking at the back of the number 5 car of Andrew Bedrosian. You see that Logan is right on his back, but you can see definitely in the background there, Andrew can definitely start seeing him now as he comes through each corner in his rear view mirror. And definitely something to be said from the driver's perspective, that seeing the driver behind you in your rear view mirror is generally not a very... it's not without pressure, we'll say that. It can be very stressful for guys that are trying to run away from another driver to see them right in your back bumper as you come through each corner. And in the case of, just passing somebody, obviously, much rather see them there than in front of your view. But, well, as he starts to see Logan lap after lap, if Logan can run some good times, then this will become something that can no doubt start to fluster the American driver. But, well, Andrew's always been somebody I thought has been really good at running, regardless of what's happening around him. Doesn't really succumb to the pressure, so if he can continue that streak tonight, he will be in a good spot. Speaking of succumbing to the pressure, or I guess not doing so, ran the quickest lap of the race, last lap, a 1:46.601 for Mr. Bedrosian in the 5 car. So the race leader is chugging along and is showing that he deserves that top spot, even after not qualifying on pole. He has since been putting in some great laps and starting to pull away from Logan, your points leader there in the 16 car. But Pax is still right down the road, always a threat to win any race he's in. So again, as we come to about the halfway mark, do not count the 16 car of Paxa out. So that gap is slowly opening up a little bit. As we said, Andrew Bedrosian did run the quickest lap of the race so far. But how about we show the best time for each driver tonight, that being the best time that each driver has run throughout the course of the race. So, of course, the purple time at the top, denoting that Andrew Bedrosian has run the quickest time of the night, a 1:46.6, but all throughout the field you can see some different times being run. Karl Dronke, who was running at the front of the field for quite a while, running a quite uncharacteristic 1:47.7, uncharacteristic as he is the only driver below 4th to run a 1:47 time this race. So that really does just show you that if he could get his situation in order, which he has now that he's made a time after that earlier incident, that he would definitely be competing for points, and he's still in the lead lap, so you never know. If we get another caution, he could be right back in the swing of things and compete for the win. But well, for the time being, you can see that Logan and Andrew running only 300ths off each other in their best laps, so Logan is not too far behind, and then quite a drop back to Tim Salvatore in the 1:47.4, which is still a great race time, very competitive, just a couple tenths down, I think, on what I ran in yesterday's practice race, and that is saying something because I ran this track repeatedly in preparation for tonight's race. Wanted to make sure I knew every aspect going into tonight, and before I put any tracks on the calendar to start the series, I made sure I ran lap after lap to ensure they'd be good for racing. So very familiar with Monza, and these guys, top two, are running better times than I was by a couple tenths, sizably. So that really does speak just how quick these top two guys in our championship are. But now that we got those up for a little bit, also another driver to mention, Marshall Crocker Sr. there, running a time a little bit better than is characteristic of his spot. He's running, I think, the 6th best time of anybody so far tonight, so we'll see if Marshall Crocker Sr., my father there in the number 15 car, can make up some time. Remember, he had to pit a little bit earlier because of... did he hit the wall? Or I forget... over the course of a long race, I forget what happens to people, but something happened in his situation that unfortunately meant he dropped all the way back to 10th. But now's the question that comes up in kind of the middle of every road course race we ask. Now, fuel. Fuel is the next thing we got to bring up, because tires, they are important here at Monza, and there's something that if you don't have, as compared to another driver that you're in a battle with, it can be a problem. But the Indy Pros are never too bad on tire wear, especially not at the road courses. So for the time being, I don't think it'll come into play for most drivers. I think the bigger issue right now is fuel conservation. Very few drivers, actually no drivers, have technically pitted because of fuel. All those that have pitted did so because they had damage. So now the question is, when will guys start coming in? I always make sure that I schedule the races in terms of the race duration based off the concept that everybody will have to pit at least once. I believe that realistically, probably lap 20, so in a couple laps from now, we'll start seeing guys come down pit road. But if it's long enough, then I may be miscalculating that. If it's something like 25 laps, I'm trying to remember the last time that guys like Marshall Crocker Sr. and Karl Dronke pitted, but there's the question that maybe they already got their pit stop out of the way, and if that's true, then the strategy, though it won't really affect the top leaders because they're far enough ahead that even a pit cycle won't really matter, but they could make up enough time to jump back up into that maybe top 8 spots, maybe even 7, depending on how that battle between Caleb Campbell and David Paxa turns out. So don't count out Karl Dronke there in the 11th spot. But speaking of pit lane, just as I was talking about pit strategy, your race leader, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian, will head down into the pits in the number 5 car. So Logan Paxa will become your provisional race leader now. He will make the move, and That's the question. Andrew has done several undercuts throughout the season where he's the first driver to pit, waits for everybody else, and then comes out and is way ahead of where you'd expect. So this could be another one of those situations. He is known for doing those, but he didn't overcut, I think, in last week's race at Texas, which did seem to work in that scenario. So he's mastered both concepts. Mahan and Salvatore will also make the move on him, and we got to watch that battle between Mahan and Salvatore momentarily because Tim Salvatore has almost gotten into the range of the slipstream on the 84 car, so could see a battle for, I guess, provisionally second now, was for third a moment ago. But now Bedrosian will head it back out on track. So to get a better idea of what the pit stint looks like here, Bedrosian is now 26 seconds behind Paxa, which gives you a good idea of what we're looking at for each pit stop. So Paxa, I think, was about 3 seconds, maybe 3.2 back when he pitted, or that being Andrew Bedrosian. So you can kind of approximate the pit cycle to be about 30 seconds. That is a nice round number to round it to. So just keep that in mind whenever somebody who hasn't come into the pits yet is battling with the driver that maybe has, or you're trying to figure out where people are on track. Just a reminder that now Bedrosian is the top driver to pit so far throughout the race. Next is Marshall Crocker Sr. and Carl Dranka, the drivers after that have pitted, that have yet to move back up as a result. That being said, let's head to this battle between Woody Mahan and Tim Salvatore, and it is provisionally for second place, but again, once they come into pit, which they are going to have to do, you can't make it the full race on fuel, I can guarantee you that. Andrew Bedrosian will take that spot back and will more than likely get into a battle with Logan Paxa. But for the time being, these guys are provisionally battling for the third spot and the final spot on the podium, a spot that both guys have been in sometime this season. Of course, Woody Mahan got the second last week. Tim Salvatore has not finished in second position yet throughout the year, but he's come very close, finishing in third at Road America, so definitely some precedent in the past for him to run really good finishes and races that have the potential to not just get him top 5 points, not just be consistent, but actually have the pace to pass some guys towards the end of a race like Tim Salvatore has. But Woody Mahan hasn't really had to do that tonight. Qualified quite well in the 84 car, waited for incidents to happen around him, jumped up to third or fourth off the very first couple of set of corners after the issues some guys had off the start. So he's got up to second, and Tim Salvatore is just out of his draft. So very big lap for the 84 car. He's got to make some good corner entries in these next few, or else Tim will be right on his back through the very important it's kind of a kink. I was going to say the kinked long straightaway between corner number 6 and Parabolica at the end of the track, but you can't really call the Ascari chicane a kink, as that set of corners is way more difficult than I'd be giving it credit for. So point is, Woody Mahan's got to get some good apexes in these next couple corners, or Tim will be right on his back bumper. And one big effect that I haven't talked a ton about is the idea that if you lose a ton of downforce being right behind a car in the slipstream, as the slipstream, I do need to clarify, isn't just a positive entity. Traditionally it is, because if you're behind a car within about 6 or 7 tenths behind on a straightaway, you're going to make up a ton of ground, and usually you can make the pass coming from all the way back. So it's kind of a crutch that means you don't need to make good corners to catch up to somebody, but it is a double-edged sword, because at the same time, if you come into a corner right on somebody's draft, you're carrying a lot more speed into the corner, you have a lot more dirty air, and it takes all the air off the front of your car that normally allows it to turn. It's pulling your car off the ground, which is both why it makes it quicker on the straightaway, but also why it makes it tougher to handle in the corners. So as we come through Ascari, if he were right on the back of Woody Mahan, he'd be going much wider through the corner than he did there, but that gives you a good perspective of how far back he is and how easy it is to run to catch up to Mahan. But for now, Logan Paxa, your race leader, will come in as well. So will Woody Mahan provisionally become your race leader, or is he going to come in this lap as well? But Logan Paxa coming in 2 laps later than Bedrosian, so probably not considerable enough for Bedrosian to make the undercut work. Bedrosian made up a little bit of time there since his pit stop, but probably not enough. So I think Logan will provisionally be your race leader after we return. Mahan and Salvatore don't pit, so Mahan, it looks like, will become your new race leader. Where will Logan Paxa cycle out? You see on the track map there as cars come by. So Anderson goes by, Bedrosian will go by. So wasn't sure whether the undercut or the overcut would work. It has, but actually Paxa, unless he takes a while to get his tires up to temp, made up a little bit of time there on that cycle, running just about 3 seconds behind, which is about where he was. But you'd expect with Andrew's undercut that he would be quicker on those laps and would actually make up time. Hasn't been the case, so the advantage now for Logan being towards the end of the race if they get into another battle for the win. Logan is now on newer tires, which will definitely come in handy in his pursuits at winning his 3rd road course of the season. So Logan will cycle out, and now we can head back up to what we can call the battle for the lead, as Woody Mahan and Tim Salvatore in the 84 and 91 still battling for all the spots they can take. In this case, the only one they need, that top spot there at the top of the podium. Woody Mahan there in the 84. Tim Salvatore, you can see at the back of the shot. Let's go to the rear camera just so we can see behind him and see how close that 91 car is. Down the straightaways, you can probably even notice it in this camera, but as we come down the straightaway, you'll see that 91 car creep closer and closer. And through Ascari, can they make a good set of apexes here? This is, again, very tricky corner even to run on one's own without the pressure of trying to pull away or chase down somebody ahead of you. So they both make it through clean. A little bit wider for Salvatore, which is going to give him an advantage down the straight in terms of sheer pace coming up to Parabolica. Doesn't actually making up a ton of time, though. You look at the timing tower, and Tim's getting 100th of a second every couple of seconds, but certainly not quite as much as he needs. That perfectly shows the effects of what I was talking about. How you lose some front downforce and turning ability as you come through the corner. You saw just how much Salvatore washed out there in the number 91 car. Not as a result of his own fault. It was just as a result of being in the draft on somebody. You're going to wash out a little bit further than you'd expect. So that happened to him a moment ago, and it'll result in Woody Mahan getting the better run down the straightaway, and up into turn 1 and 2 will remain your race leader. Let's look back throughout the field, though, because I feel like we talked about this set of 5 cars that are running within 11 seconds of each other for quite a while. But let's go back to Caleb Campbell. Caleb Campbell, a guy that I talked about him in the precursor to the race, about how he's been consistent all week through practices. He's been putting in a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of time, and that's one thing I love to see, especially with younger drivers coming up through the real life racing ranks. It's always good to see that guys are putting in the time they need to, and Caleb has just been improving and improving. Like from last season in the Cars to Computer Series, he came in the first couple of races. I think he made his debut towards the end of season 1. He never ran towards the front of the pack. He never ran at the front of the field. Was always pretty competitive with some of the guys in the lower midfield, but just couldn't really find the pace throughout the course of an entire race to compete for spots. But this looks like a new Caleb Campbell there in the number 9 car since he came back this season. Maybe it's the luck of his car kind of matching the colors of the Snowstorm series. Maybe there's something there, but no, for real, he's found so much pace this season, and he looks so much more comfortable driving that car. Driving in packs of other drivers, he seems like just part of the group when he runs in packs of guys that run at the front and battle for wins each race. So really happy with the progression that he's shown, and he's one of those guys that, again, if he continues this level of potential building, could be a guy that competes for podiums and even wins in the rest of the season. I do believe that. So Caleb Campbell, congratulations on the progress he made this season, and he's pulling away from David Paxa, a guy that has been on iRacing for quite a while by the sounds of it. I know he puts in a lot of time in his own right, so for Caleb Campbell to be pulling away as well as he has, well, that definitely a sentiment needs to be given towards him. But looking at Trevor Anderson, Trevor Anderson, is that Andrew Bedrosian in the wall? It is Andrew Bedrosian and Trevor Anderson. We might see a caution in just a moment, but coming into Parabolic, a yellow flag does come out. That has huge implications on the race. So this is the rundown of Parabolica there. Trevor Anderson and Andrew Bedrosian. This is the battle for third, but Trevor had not pitted yet. This is up to Parabolica. You see Andrew's going to jump to the inside here. Comes in, loses the back end. Just, tough luck there for Trevor Anderson. Really nowhere to go as a result, but Bedrosian just lost the back end, brought in a ton of speed because you saw the run he got there down the straightaway and just couldn't do anything with that speed. Once he got into the corner, the car just refused to turn with him. So wow, just like that, the entire status of the race shakes up. Let's go to the cockpit view there of Andrew Bedrosian's car in the number 5. See what happened to his steering inputs. But again, Andrew's not the kind of guy to overcorrect into a corner, so I don't think that's what it would have been. It was just a case that maybe came in with a little bit too much power in the car and just couldn't really do anything with it once he got into the corner. At least couldn't keep it stable. So comes in, just barely gets underneath Anderson, and that's really bizarre. I don't think I've seen just a sudden snap like that in one of these cars in a very long time. I mean, if there's any corner to do it in, it's Parabolica. So tough. You got a really good flick on the wheel to get the car around. But again, just watch it one more time here. But you see, really, Trevor Anderson had nowhere to go. But look at the steering inputs of Andrew in the number 5 car. So as he comes in, he's not making like a big right-hand aggressive turn. He's just kind of sliding it a little. Yeah, that was intense. That is aerodynamics at its, well, I would say finest, but kind of at its worst there, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll talk in a moment about what that means for the guys that are going to be able to pit here for free, but we get one more view here from Trevor Anderson's perspective, see what he was looking at. Because he comes in, look in his right side mirror, you can see Andrew, he knows he's coming by, and just, wow, from his perspective, he probably just thinks he slid into him, like he just ran him straight off the track. Anderson was able to get back up to speed, though, so I guess technically, karma works itself out there, the guy that, not that it was Andrew's fault necessarily, I mean, technically it was, but it wasn't that he did anything wrong. But he will be rewarded because he didn't need to come into the pits to get repairs. So Anderson should come out and still be ahead of Andrew Bedrosian. He remained on track. So that'll be your second caution of the day with only 13 laps left to go in the race overall. So probably 9 or 10 left to go when we come back from the yellow flag. So set of pit stops will be happening momentarily, so Woody Mahan and Tim Salvatore, who didn't pit yet in the race, this is absolutely going to play into their hands because they're going to get a free pit stop here, and Logan Pax, I think, will become the new race leader if that is the case, because he'll bunch up there on the pace car, and then they'll pit, and he won't have to. So Logan Pax should become your new race leader on to the next segment of the race, unless these two guys pitted. So we'll see what happens, but for the time being, we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to go on board probably with Woody Mahan, your new race leader there in the 84 car for the time being, and we'll be back in just a moment for the fourth round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series here at Monza. Thank you as always, everybody, for watching. And we're back for round number 4 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series at Monza. Taking a look right now at the front end of Trevor Anderson's car. Remember, he was just involved in the incident with Andrew Bedrosian, so missing a sizable portion of his front wing. He managed to get the car all the way around the length of the track, so he will come into the pits this time, as will many others, including Woody Mahan, Tim Salvatore, Trevor Anderson, Caleb Campbell, David Paxa are all going to pit. Paxa looks like actually faked a pit stop, so decides against it. Maybe he doesn't need to. I was under the impression he did need to come into the pits one more time, but if he doesn't, then it'll be a Paxa 1-2 on the next restart, which I don't think we've seen once all season. So great work for David Paxa if he does indeed have a good run to the end on fuel. John Guerra will run into the number 3 spot on this next restart as well. Would have thought that he would have had to pit as well. I don't remember the 11 of John Guerra pitting throughout the last stint, but maybe this yellow is going to be more beneficial to certain cars than I thought, and if that's the case, then Paxa and Guerra jumping up to the top 3 is going to shake up this order even more than that last incident did. Marshall Crocker Sr., another guy we got to talk about. He's good on fuel. Remember, he pitted there at the start of the race, and if he's good to the end, as I assume he is, then Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, could be in for his first podium of the season and of any series I've hosted as well. He's come so close many times, but this could be the 15 cars chance. Of course, don't mean to jinx him, but he is in a very good spot on this next restart. Woody Mahan, who was leading up until those cars that did have to pit did so, will now settle into the 5th spot in line in the 84 car. Tim Salvatore in behind in the 91, who he was battling with for the lead there momentarily a moment ago, will also settle in behind him. Trevor Anderson, I believe, will gain a spot after that last incident. So remember, he was in 3rd in that battle with Andrew Bedrosian. 4th until he was got in that collision with Bedrosian. So he will lose a portion of his front wing, but he's gained it back there in the pits and is returned to the track. Next in line, a car that you may recognize, Justin Lewick, has returned to the race. Of course, isn't going to be on the lead lap because he did miss a couple laps, but he's back to 13th. He's 5 laps down. He's going to have to let a couple cars by because that is what we have the setting set to, so that all the lead lap cars will make their way past the 7 car, and then he'll slot to the back of the line. But Justin's able to make it back. It'll mean he gains 3 spots in the overall race order, and oh man, I really wish he could be on the lead lap and could be competing for the win tonight, because from what I saw in practice and the times he was sending me, he could really competed tonight and really thrown his name in the hat there for the win. So it's a shame to see that he won't be able to, but I know coming back next week we're going to Mossport, a track that I know Justin has tons of experience at. I have the feeling that he'll make a triumphant return next week and hopefully be able to compete for a proper winning spot with a slightly better situation again. Not sure what happened to him earlier in the race, but it's good to see him back at all. After that, though, next in line after Trevor Anderson, who we talked about a moment ago, Caleb Campbell, who we were talking about separately a moment ago in the Oreo livery there, the number 9 car after Justin Lillick. He will move up right behind Trevor in a moment and will take over that 8th spot. So a couple of guys up front in the front of the field that we haven't really seen prove themselves yet throughout the race. We'll see if they're able to hold those spots up there, but if they don't, Caleb Campbell could make his way through the field and could look for his second top 5 of the season. Many guys that have run at the front all season have yet to get a top 5, and Caleb's got one, so that's something he can put on the fridge there on his behalf, and we'll see if he can get a second of the season. Carl Dronka there in the 38 car sitting just behind him. Remember how quick he was at the beginning of the race, but he had an incident that took him from 3rd all the way back to, I think, 11th. He's been able to regain some of those spots, but now he'll sit provisionally 9th ahead of Manuel Guerra, who will round out the top 10. Of course, your biggest mover of the race now at this point, besides his brother John, who has moved up 7 spots since the start of the race, is Manuel Guerra. So great work for the number 12 car tonight. Again, a very consistent driver that could find his way into the top 5 as well if some certain circumstances go down. After that, though, it's Andrew Bedrosian, the number 5 car, led a sizable quantity of this race as the fastest lap of the night, to my knowledge still. So the 5 car probably has the most pure pace of anybody in the field, at least as far as tonight is concerned. Him and Eleanor, as he's named his car, as you can see there on the side, are going to do their very best to gain some spots off this next restart, I'd imagine, because chances are, I'm not sure if the lights in the pace car are off, but it'll probably be 9 or maybe even 8 laps to go, and next time we come by, David Paxa will come into the pits this time, so the already ever-changing race order will change up even more, so the 53 will come in this time, get some pit service, and that'll put him to the back of the line, probably restarting 12th, if I had to guess. Not sure where Jack Hillier is on track. No, Hillier's a lap down, so yeah, David Paxa will slot into 10th. Andrew Bedrosian's a lap down. Why is Andrew Bedrosian a lap down, is my question. I thought he had gained his lap back from timing, because he had the incident, came into the pits, had to do the tote. Maybe he is legitimately a lap down. So if that's the case, I was just talking about how he was going to have to run his way through the field, get some spots back. By that logic, he can't. So Andrew Bedrosian's night, I didn't pick up on it till now, but wow. The 5 car, again, so dominant throughout so much of this race, was running in the lead. Without the caution there with Trevor, I think he absolutely would have cycled out ahead of everybody in the pits. Would have come out as the leader and just had Logan to worry about, but now, the opposite, Logan doesn't really have Bedrosian to worry about anymore, at least. There's no way for Bedrosian to get his lap back, because we don't run the Lucky Dog rule at road courses. Only 1 lap to go. The lights in the pace car are off, which is good to see, but well, Andrew Bedrosian, I'm really sorry to hear that, because the guy put in so much work this week. I had a great race with him yesterday. He has so much pace, like many guys do, and man, Justin Lillick and Andrew Bedrosian, with how quick they were through the week, being out of the race, or still in the race, but 1 or more laps down, that changes the entire complexion of this event going forward. So, well, that means that the top 3 now becomes Logan Paxa, John Guerra, and Marshall Crocker, and that is with pit stops. That is no strings attached, at least unless John runs out of fuel, but I don't think he will. I think he's pitted as well. So, Logan Paxa, then John Guerra, who I know we've talked about through a lot of series in the past. He was a big factor in the old Cards to Computer series in a couple oval races, but well, tonight we'll see if he can repeat that same magic there at a road course. And if he can, then he could be looking at his first podium in series history. Same with Marshall Crocker Sr., who I know is going to do his very best to make that happen as well. The 15 car is, even again with pit cycles, legitimately sitting in 3rd now. So he's got to hold off Woody Mahan, who's had plenty of speed tonight. But Woody's also got to hold off Tim Salvatore, who he was battling with for quite a while. This is Woody, there is Tim. So, wow, so much to think about in this final nine lap dash to the finish. But so many guys that have jostled around for position as a result of incidents, as a result of on-track battles. It's been a great race to watch, and I hope you all agree at home. But well, if you're all excited for things to get going here for this final time, hopefully no more cautions to the end of the race. If you're excited to see where this goes, well, it is your opportunity in the chat to say so. So if anybody's got some messages for people, if you got questions you want me to ask in the post-race, or you just got anybody you're cheering for, anything you want to mention, the chat is always the place to do it. You just throw it in the YouTube chat down below. I tried to read everything I possibly can. I can confirm from the message there from... can't read that. Don't know what legitimate name that says, but still hearing that still cheering for Lulick and had internet troubles is what the message says. So, real shame to see. I know I've had my fair share of internet issues in the past. You guys have seen it on broadcast, but it's always a shame when drivers who are really competing for points, really competing and are very compassionate about, or very passionate, I should say, about the races, being unable to finish them. But the pace car will take the hard right-hander onto pit road in just a moment. Logan Paxa will lead the field to green once again, but now he's got John Garrett and Marshall Crocker Sr. in his rearview mirror. the first time he's had that this race, or maybe even all season. So a very different set of drivers up there at the front of the field. It'll be 8 laps to go at the start of this lap here. Sorry, 9 laps to go, I should say. Green flag here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, possibly the final time of the race. Paxa gets a great jump off the start, but John Guerra, Marshall Crocker Sr., and that's Woody Mahan getting passed there immediately by Tim Salvatore. Immediately going to head to the outside is the 91 car, so things are about to get nuts. Justin Lewick, who is that? He's going down to the inside of. That's Trevor Anderson. Remember, Lewick is a lap down, so doesn't need the spot for points. That's John Guerra going side by side with Crocker. Going to make contact side by side. Guerra pushes him off a little bit further than expected, so Crocker will drop back a spot. Doesn't look to have any damage, but Mahan drops 2 spots on the restart. Salvatore's back into the top 3. Can he make the move on Guerra? Now Crocker's going to try to go underneath Salvatore. Let's head back up to Marshall Crocker here, because he's going to be the guy to watch in this next corner. This is down into the turns 4 and 5 chicane. As we come into the second chicane, Salvatore going to go side by side with Guerra. Jumps the chicane. Lewick gets into the first half of the chicane. He hits Mahan. Did everybody make it through cleanly? Look at the pack forming up behind there as we come through turns 4 and 5. So Bedrosian's trying to make his way through the field as well. John Guerra still in the top 4. Mahan goes off track. He heads off. Carl Dronka. Caleb Campbell is off. So much chaos in this last couple corners. Caleb is back on track legitimately. Makes his way on without damage. Woody Mahan, I think, does have damage. Let's just see what happened to him very quickly before we go back to the real race, because, well, with how action-packed things have been this last couple corners, we have no time to waste. But so here is Woody Mahan. Gets a little bit loose coming out of the chicane. That's John Guerra up ahead. Nobody behind him, it would seem. Just gets loose. Just had no traction left on those, I'd assume, rear right tires. Just didn't catch the car, and he goes around. So Woody Mahan, again, running so well all throughout the race, is going to crash. But Bedrosian loses his rear wing. So a guy that was already a lap down trying to battle for spots is going to lose yet another one. So he will fall back here. But now John Guerra and Marshall Crocker Sr., Carl Dronka way back. Looked like he headed off the track a moment ago as well. So he has nothing to worry about. Yellow flag comes out yet again. Didn't pick up on it there quite quick enough, but wow. Well, after 2 cautions in the span of, I think, 25 laps, we've now seen 2 in the span of, I think, 2 on-track laps. So, wow. Wow. Things in this series can get real crazy real quick. So, Bedrosian took the rear wing damage. I don't know when that happened. Again, it's a little chaotic to go back and look. So for the time being, we're not, just because he's a lap down at the moment, and he won't get his lap back here because, again, no lucky dogs. So, again, shame to see, and the bad luck for the 5 car gets even worse tonight, but this means we'll go back to green with probably 5 or 6 laps to go, so it's going to be a sprint to the finish. But what in the world happened there? So I assume the caution would have been for the incident with Mahan and Caleb Campbell. Caleb is still on the track, no noticeable damage for the number 9 car, but you saw both guys head off. I'd imagine if in Caleb's case, it was just that he saw the 38 car of Dronka, sorry, not Dronka, the 84 car of Mahan, saw him slide off through the corner. Maybe just miscalculated his entry based on that. Got worried about trying to avoid, but he did the same thing. Marshall Crocker Sr. didn't get fooled, though. He made his way through, so my father will remain in 4th spot on the next restart. But, well, the main beneficiary of all that chaos is Tim Salvatore there in the number 91. Made his way past both Guerra and Crocker there on the restart. And this is a battle we've seen a couple times throughout the season before. Tim Salvatore has making his debut to the series this season. He has just been on a tear every race he's been at, especially the road courses. To start off the season at both Charlotte Roval and then Road America, now ran 4 at Monza. He has just had pace all year, and getting right up behind the 16 car of Logan Paxa there on this next restart. That is going to be a sight to see, because Tim is a guy that has been known to make some aggressive moves there in the start. He's willing to make passes there through the slipstream off the first straightaway. So, man, if I were Tim, and I don't like to toot drivers' horns too much throughout the race, because I like to stay partisan and have an even playing field for everybody, but Logan is fast. Like, he is extra fast at this track. He's had a lot of pace this week, only compared to one guy. Andrew Bedrosian is the only guy that's come anywhere close in terms of proper millisecond by millisecond in the 146 range pace. And if I'm Tim Salvatore, get that move done quick, and then just focus on the defending, because Tim has been great at defending all year. He defended David Paxa at the Roval. He did it again at Road America from several drivers, including Trevor Anderson, Carl Dronka, who were both battling for spots with him in the midfield in that race. So he's done it before. I think that's the strategy to go with. Just try to get Logan on the restart, because Logan's been incredible at restarts. He's had great jumps on all of them throughout not only this race but the entire season. So Logan can get the jump on the gas pedal there to start. It's just about kind of scouting that out, ideally trying to figure out when he's going to go, and then just try to make the move immediately off the start. And if he can do that without crashing the two of them, that would be ideal. But Yeah, I think from Tim's perspective, I think that's what you got to be thinking about if you're him. And again, getting his first podium at Road America 2 weeks back, he showed the potential to do it again. And I think if he can do it again tonight, then well, he would certainly cement his name as one of the top guys in the series. And maybe with Andrew's struggles back to 11th there, lap down because of his earlier incident with Trevor Anderson, might even move up to second place in the standings overall. So certainly food for thought. But let's see. So I don't foresee any pit stops. Let's see. So John Guerra will come into the pits this time. So the 11 car, I thought he was going to be okay on fuel. Maybe decides in that last stint that it'll be a little too close for comfort. He'll come in. Andrew Bedrosian, the next car behind him, that has to come in the number 5 car, but that's probably because he's missing an entire piece of his rear wing. Justin Luke will come in as well, also a lap down. Might as well just come in and get some tires, get some fuel, and actually missing his front wing as well. So front wings appear to be a commodity here at this point in the race, ladies and gentlemen. Many people not having one at this point, but Woody Mahan will come into the pits, I guess, for new tires. You remember him losing the back end in that last time through turn 6 and 7, which is what caused the caution. So he'll come in and grab some new tires and head back out because, well, those will old the ones if they have a flat spot or something like that. Jack Hilliard, did he just run into somebody or what? Or I just talked about front wings being a commodity. What happened to him? Did he get into the back of Caleb Campbell? I hope not. A lot of pace on the did catch the back of Caleb Campbell. Yeah, so the front wing just slides away from him. He can head around the track again to go get one in the pits next time by. I'm not sure if the 1 lap to go lights have come off on the pace car, but Caleb Campbell doesn't appear to have any damage. So a guy that at this point, if I'm honest, I'm really rooting for how well he's been driving. Appears to still be okay in racing conditions. So the lights on the pace car are still on. We'll go one more lap and then the final one. So we're probably going to do one more break and then hopefully it'll be the final of the broadcast because we're going to have a very quick stint to the end of the race after that. No green-white checkers. It's just if we finish under caution, we finish under caution. But the lights on the pace car are going to come off this next time by. We're going to go back, I think, with 6 to go. So barely any time at all. That's probably 12 minutes in race time, or maybe just under, maybe closer to 11. But it'll be a very, very quick and very intense 11 laps, I can guarantee you that. So we'll go to our final quick break of the night. John Guerra, important to mention as well, after pitting there from 3rd position, has dropped back to 9th. So still in contention, still in that top 10 left in the lead lap, and he's ahead of Woody Mahan as well. Woody, a guy that's very quick. So that's some really good piece of track position there for the number 11 car. But that being said, we're going to head off to, again, our final break of the night. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for watching tonight. This has gone much smoother than usual. The race has been incredible to watch. Could see an absolutely out of left field first podium tonight, which would be amazing to see, and so many guys deserve one. So I'm excited. I hope you all are as well at home. So thank you. And from the virtual Monza, Autodromo Nazionale Monza in lovely Italy, I will head away for a moment, but we'll be back in just a moment for round number 4 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season at Monza. And for the final time in tonight's race, I have returned from our brief break there. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for bearing with me. It's always the case that, less so that I want to cut the broadcast short and I want to keep my, hopefully, entertaining insight going. You just can't really go solo on a broadcast for the span of an hour and a half and not get a little bit parched. So, got that solved. Should be good to the finish. And, wow. Again, this is going to be nuts. This has got to be the most entertainingly put-together field I've seen in the top 10 coming to a finale I think I've ever seen in this series. There are so many different drivers from so many walks of life who have gone through so many different experiences, both in this season as a whole and in this particular race. Logan Paxa, your race leader, your points, leader, it makes sense. There's precedent there, but after that, so many guys battling for first in terms of first time scoring whatever particular position, whether it be a podium, top 5, whatever it may be. But there's just so much at play here in this final 6-lap dash to the finish. So let's go through the top 10 very quickly, or maybe even if we can get the entire field done before we go back to the restart. Logan Paxa, your championship leader, as I just mentioned, your points leader. He has just been absolutely dominant throughout this entire start of the season. Tonight he's been pretty quick, but now that Andrew Bedrosian is out of the conversation for the win, now he can just focus on trying to hold off Tim Salvatore and get his 3rd win of the new season. But Tim Salvatore there in the 91, he got his first podium a couple weeks back there at Road America, is looking for number 2. You can absolutely guarantee it. Will he make one of his trademark good starts here on Logan Paxa and try to get some moves done at the beginning? We'll find out in a moment. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, in the podium positions for the first time in quite a while in this season. I think he did it back at Roval. He was competitive for a large period of that race, but yet to score a podium in this series or any of the other the ones I've hosted, but has come so close so many times. This could finally be the time, but he's got to hold off Carl Dronka to do it. The 38 car has been so quick throughout this entire race and this entire season, and really any time I've ever raced him. Dronka and Crocker have experience racing together in a Skip Barber series I used to host and used to participate in, so I know their experience running together is very thorough. After that, David Paxa will round out the top 5. Cataloging the top 5 is Logan Paxa and David Paxa, so the Paxas always running fairly close to each other on track. David Paxa rounds out the top 5, could look for his first podium of the series as well. Same with Manuel Guerra, Caleb Campbell, and Trevor Anderson, who have all been yet to score a podium, who round out the next 3 spots. Then John Guerra and Woody Mahan round out the next 2 spots there to round out your top 10. The only drivers left on the lead lap, heading to the restart. Here we go with 6 laps to go left in the race. Logan Paxa, your control car once again. I talked about it very briefly a moment ago, but Tim Salvatore, if he's going to want to make this pass, he's got to do it quick if I'm him. Logan is just so quick, and I know he's going to try his very best to pull away. The pace car takes the hard right-hander onto pit road. Logan Paxa will pull off the starting line. Tim is a little ways back, but green flag for the final time tonight at Autodromo Nazionale Monza for round 4 of the Snowstorm Series. Huge run by Paxa. He has just taken off down the front straightaway. I don't know how he gets such a good jump there on the gas, but Tim will gain a little bit of ground through the slipstream, but it's still going to hold that 2nd spot coming up to the first corner. Crocker holds off Dronka through the first set of corners, it would appear. David Paxa, though, making up some good ground right behind. He is still in contention for a top 5 spot. Then Caleb Campbell after that in 6th, also very close to that top 5. 2 guys are going to go around. Who was that a little bit further back in the field? Jack Hillier and that's John Guerra have come together. We'll see in a little bit if we have time what to happen there, but for the time being, really got to focus on these battles for position. Crocker and Dronka. Dronka has slipped back quite considerably there through that last couple corners. Not sure what happened to him, but he is not going to be able to fight, at least not for the next couple of corners for that 3rd spot, as Carl Dronka, he dropped back a little bit too far to get the draft for the time being. David Paxa looked like went wide a moment ago, but Caleb Campbell and him are having a good battle as well. Caleb, as he comes through corner 6 with Andrew Bedrosian right on his back bumper. Of course, Bedrosian not really battling for positions anymore, but wants to at least try to get back up to that number 1 spot, maybe hope for a caution. It's a long shot, but he's going to try to make it work. Now Bedrosian's going to go to the outside of Campbell. Is passing out for position, so we're going to head back up to that battle for 3rd. The final podium spot is up for grabs. Crocker in the 15 car trying to hold off the 38 car as we come through Ascari. Corner number 9, corner number 10 still holding him off. A little bit better run for Dronka, but Crocker should have a good enough run here. Is he going to defend the inside or the outside? Coming onto this very long chicane down into corner number 11. Going to go to the inside as Dronka trying to make the move on the 15 car. Going to come side by side. Dronka will have the run here into Parabolica, so he will hold him off for the time being. Crocker will drop back down to 4th, but is still going to have the draft here onto the front stretch. Kind of losing the feed a little bit. Hopefully that comes back in just a moment, but now Crocker again going to try to get to the outside of Dronka, maybe make the move around the other side. What is the plan here for the 15 car? Going to run side by side. Oh, we've lost footage. Horrible time to do so. Hopefully we get that back in just a moment. Positive note that we can still see the updates on the timing tower, so hopefully we can come back in just a moment. Crocker to the outside, trying to make the move on Dronka once again. Dronka will hold off the inside for the time being, so as we come through corners 1 and 2, Carl Dronka in the 38 will take that final spot on the podium, but Salvatore only 1.4 seconds back of Paxa, so still has the potential to make up the ground he needs to get the win tonight, but he's going to have to run some absolutely incredible laps to finish off this race if he wants to do so. Caleb Campbell has headed to the pits, presumably to repair some damage, so his chances at a top 5 tonight are all but set in stone to not be the case, but a great run tonight for Caleb Campbell. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch him be as quick as he has, and main beneficiaries of that will be Trevor Anderson, Woody Mahan, and Manuel Guerra. Apologies that we dropped out for a second there, ladies and gents, but hopefully you were in some ways able to see the pass there for third go down. Carl Dronka passing Marshall Crocker Sr. through Parabolica, and then being able to hold him off through corners number 1 and 2. But again, Marshall Crocker Sr. is not too far behind that I don't think he can get the draft if he can get a really good run through Ascari here, so still the potential for Crocker to get back into the podium spots, but Dronka going for his first podium of the season as well. Now he's going to try to hold that 4th spot as Marshall Crocker Sr., but he's got David Paxton on the 53 right behind him. Now his focus is shift a little bit further back, but these guys who have kind of, I guess, made the name for themselves as the two fathers in the series. Marshall Crocker Sr. is the father to me, and David Paxa is the father of Logan Paxa, who has, to that point, battled him many times throughout the season. But the two dads going to go head-to-head this time and see who can come away with that 4th place spot. And Trevor Anderson, don't count him out of this battle either, who is right behind both of them. As Trevor Anderson, we saw how much speed he had at Road America. We know he'll be quick. He's just got to get that draft on Andrew Bedrosian and try to use him as a leapfrog to get up there. Marshall Crocker Sr. is going to head into the pits. Guess he thought he can make it on fuel, but it's just a couple laps short. So, man, that podium spot, I guess, just not to be. He's going to come very close, though. Probably still going to come out in 8th spot if he's just pitting for fuel. So, it's a shame to see Marshall Crocker Sr. coming so close to that podium that it's been such a long time in the making, but I know one day. I think sometime this series it'll happen. He's come so close so many times. Always very quick driver is my dad, so there's always potential in the future. But that means that Carl Dronka's 3rd place position gets even more comfortable again, looking for his first podium of the season. Still in contention to do so. Tim Salvatore up the road as well. I don't want to discount the fact that he could make up the ground to 2nd place and maybe take that position as well, but Tim Salvatore is running some great laps. Maybe a little bit too much to ask for on his behalf. Sorry that we've had the music in the background so long. I had no idea that was still playing. But Carl Dronka, as he runs through corner number 8, yeah, you can't really see the 91 car Salvatore up ahead, so a little bit too far to get in his draft once again. But now Trevor Anderson, speaking of the draft, is in the draft on David Paxa. He's got the slipstream working on his way down to Ascari, so with it'll be 3 laps to go the next time we head by the start-finish line, so not much time left in the race, but Trevor's going to do everything he can to make whatever spots are available to him. Probably a little bit too far back the top 3 to go get a podium spot for himself, but David Pax is right there. He's going to have a great run down to Parabolica this next time by. On the outside, David doesn't appear to dive to the inside to defend for the time being, so is the inside going to be available? No, Trevor just decides not to go for it. I mean, he's had an incident there with Andrew Bedrosian earlier in the race at Parabolica already. Great that he's recovered as well as he has from that incident, but no, for the time being, he won't get that spot back from Paxa, so he's going to try once again here into corner number 1. He's going to have the whole straightaway to build up that slipstream, and now he can pick inside or outside. Where is Paxa going to defend? If I were him at this point, I'd go straight to the inside here. Doesn't. Oh, he will. He's going to block off the inside. Nice defensive move there from Paxa, but Anderson's still got the outside. Oh, they're going to go side by side on corner entry. Is Trevor going to try the crossover here? Pax is going to get in a little bit too deep, so Anderson should have a better run off corner number 2, but loses the back end, so David Pax's chances at holding that spot get even better, so Paxa will try to run down the road, but again, he's not very far ahead in terms of number of tenths, so he's still in contention for that 4th spot is Trevor Anderson, even with only 3 laps to go, not much time left. But speaking of the idea of not having much time left, Tim Salvatore, if he's going to make up that ground to Logan Paxa, he's got to do it soon. You can see the 91 car in the background here, the shot of our race leader, Logan Paxa, but Paxa just running absolute flying laps as he does so often. Again, still the potential for a new winner in this season, but well, Tim's going to have to find another gear to do it. But if anybody can do it, and there's a very select couple of drivers I think could, in this particular situation, I think Tim's one of them. So he's got 2 laps to do it, but he kind of needs Logan to make a mistake at this point, and that is one thing Logan does not do all too often. But back to this battle for 4th. It won't be for a podium spot. I think Carl's going to clear him by about 3 seconds in the end, regardless of what happens. So I think Carl should be okay unless he makes a mistake to get his first podium of the season. But this battle for 4th spot, David Paxa and Trevor Anderson. Paxa has got about 8 tenths clear of Anderson, which is just on the cusp of the slipstream range here on the straightaway. So I don't think he'll get him here, will Trevor Anderson, but he'll have another chance, I'd say, into turns 1 and 2 next time by. He's just got to nail Parabolica. Paxa looks like he gets a pretty good entry. I think he's trying to keep it conservative, kind of focusing on that inside line. He goes a little bit too wide, though. Anderson's going to get a better run off the corner. The 25. Let's see what he can do here as we come back onto the front stretch once again. Much closer than he was a moment ago that last time by. A much better opportunity there for the 25. This is Trevor Anderson we're on board with here. 2 laps to go. Coming up to turn number 1, he's going to head to the outside. Pax is going to try to squeeze him a little bit, but he's giving him the racing room he needs. To the outside. Can he make the corner properly? He can. They're going to go side by side on entry. Can Anderson to make it stick? Catches Pax a little bit. Pax kind of cuts across, so both guys make it through, but just very tight. What's the term I'm looking for? A little bit claustrophobic there in turns 1 and 2, I should say, because such a thin little corner, and guys try to pass in there all the time. At least they made it through without any incident, but now Woody Mahan has got involved in this battle as well as a result of all the chaos up there, so don't count the 84 car out for not only a top 5 spot, but maybe as high as 4th. If he can make things stick here. Logan is going to come around for the white flag in just a moment. Probably about a minute to go until that happens, but he's breaking away from Tim Salvatore as well, so for the opportunity for the win gets closer and closer with every passing second for Paxa, but for the time being, let's keep an eye on David Paxa this next couple of straightaways. The slipstream is going to be rampant in this next couple of minutes up to the finish, so Anderson is much closer in this straightaway than he's been all race, but I don't think he'll try to make the pass into Ascari. That's a little bit too aggressive. You see Paxa trying to seesaw the wheel, get the car across the track, and upset the slipstream to Anderson behind. Anderson loses the back end a little bit, bounces over the rumble curbs. Mahan is going to gain some ground as a result of that. Now I think he's too far back to make the move on Paxa, so that's exactly what David Paxa wanted to see behind, but now Anderson is going to make the defensive move on Mahan. He's going to head to the inside, but Woody Mahan looking for that top 5 spot as he's finished, I think, all races but one this season, so looking for a good spot. Manuel Guerra went off the track that last corner, so I think he'll lose a 7th spot in just a moment, but side by side now is the 25 car of Anderson, the 84 of Mahan. White flag that last time by. Paxa took it just a moment ago as he heads into turn 1. But this battle still fierce. Mahan now to the inside, so he'll have the optimal angle coming into turn number 1 on Anderson, but the question is either car going to get the draft to Paxa up ahead? He's now 1.6 seconds clear, so whoever wins this battle is going to have to do it quick if they want to go catch David Paxa for that number 4 spot, but Mahan still to the inside, Anderson on the outside, may try the over-under. Doesn't really make it work. They go side by side, avoid contact, but Mahan's going to have the better run because he got the wider exit off the corner, so that came very close. I think he was going for the over-under, but Mahan kind of scouted it out and didn't give him the angle he needed. Anderson, by that strategy there, needed Mahan to kind of wash out through corner number 1 into the second half, and he could try to go around him, but didn't quite work in that particular scenario. Now David Pax is about 2.3 seconds clear of these two guys, so he should be pretty much all but insured there to get that number 1 spot. But David Pax, did he just come off the track? Did I just see in the back? He did. The 53 car on the final lap through that second chicane. Gonna go around. We're gonna check very quickly because Logan is about to come through the final couple of corners here for the win, but Paxa comes in just a little bit too hard on the left-hand turn, loses the back end, manages to save it pretty quick, but that's all you need to lose 2 spots here in such a competitive race as this. So David Paxa, it's a shame to see, but on the exit of Ascari, Logan Paxa, the other Paxa, his son, in the 16 car. He won the first 2 rounds of the season. He's your championship points leader. Andrew Bedrosian not having the race, I'm sure he would have wanted Andrew second in the points. What a great points day for Logan. This is exactly what he needs if you're the number 16 car, but well, the Logan Paxa fan army at home, I know there's several of his family and friends that watch, but Logan out of Parafalica for the final time at Autodromo Nazionale Monza. 3rd time this year, 3rd time at a road course. He swept them so far. Logan Paxa wins in the number 16 car at round 4. Great work there for Logan Paxa. Incredible win. Did everything he had to. Tim Salvatore comes across, best finish of the season in 2nd. Carl Dronka being drafted, it looks like, by Andrew Bedrosian, comes across for his first podium of the season. Mahan and Anderson to the line, coming real close. Mahan holds him off through Parabolica to pick up 4th. Trevor coming so close, but his 2nd top 5 of the season. Great finish for the American there. And David Paxa, who I know had that unfortunate spin just a moment ago through that 2nd chicane, turns number 4 and 5. But did everything he could tonight. Great defensive job there. He came corners away from 4th. And he should come away from this race very happy with that. So David Paxa there in 6th. Manuel Guerra, he'll come across in 7th. I know he came across the line there just a moment ago after a spin, I think, in that last lap. But gained 10 spots there, did Manuel Guerra. So great race there for the number 12 car. Congrats to Manuel Guerra. And he's sitting kind of midfield there in the points. So that'll definitely play to his benefit as a result. But, well, great job for him in the number 12 car of Manuel Guerra. Great race tonight. And Marshall Crocker Sr., he'll come across the line as well. Came so close to a podium tonight. Just, the unfortunate timing of having to come into the pits there and take fuel. Came so close. He should come away from this feeling happy as well. And into Mosport next week, a track I know he's enjoyed in the past. Maybe that'll be the opportunity to get back the podium he came so close to tonight. Caleb Campbell in the ninth spot. in the 9 car, quite fittingly. Going to head off the track there through the grass, maybe going to go for a celebration. Ah, there you go. That's the one thing I love about some of these younger guys in the series. They always keep it very clean, but once the race comes, they find amazing ways to celebrate, sometimes through, donuts, but sometimes through fun little showcases like that. I find them exciting, at least. But Andrew Bedrosian will head off the track already. He just immediately heads back to the pits. Got to be frustrated with how quick he was tonight and not really having the points to show for it. But that incident with Trevor kind of put his race behind the 8 ball early, and I believe he should still get some bonus points for leading probably the most laps and running the fastest lap. So great race for Andrew tonight. I know it's not going to be the finish he would have wanted, but next week I think I guarantee he'll come out at Mosport and do everything he can to take over the Canadian soil with a win of his own. So great race there from Andrew. We'll go through the rest of the field in just a moment, but we got to go to the victory donuts for Logan Paxer. At least I hope he did them. There we go. So the 16 car, we always got to look at the other finishers first, but let's head back to that second chicane that he did his donuts in. So maybe a bit of a victory salute there from Tim Salvatore, who goes by, but let's get up the little graphic that we always put up for victories. Where did it go? There we go. So race winner, Mr. Logan Pax, a third time again this season. He swept the road courses so far. He went to Texas last week, was very competitive, but got in an incident with a couple laps to go that left him in contention to win that race. Michael took one from him, but he came back and reminded everybody who, is arguably the quickest driver in the entire series. Logan Paxa picks up the win at Monza. Great win for him tonight. I have big hopes for him for the rest of the season going forward. And in our first season of the Karsten Computer Series, he took over the championship lead, I think, round 2, and he held it for a very, very long time. And I'd imagine there's a good possibility he'll do the same this season. But I know several guys are going to try to take away that title from him as well. So don't count anybody out of the points so far this season, but I look forward to for the rest of the season to continue that streak of success and maybe pick up some more wins in this next couple of races. Logan Pax is the guy to do it. I noticed we're having internet issues again, but I'm glad that they at least waited till the end of the race to come back. So I'll pull down all your graphics, and now it's time to go to your race results before we head to your post-race interviews. First, let's get up your... Oh, we have completely lost connection. You don't see that too often. There we go. The graphics are back, so not sure if you can all hear me. It would appear based on the status of the broadcast that you cannot. Try to get things reset here. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you to the issues for waiting at least until right now. And should be back in a moment, I would hope. Oh, and we're coming back. Come back. Okay, this is a good sign. We can do your post-race results in a moment once I can confirm that the connection has returned. I hope it has. We're close. It's certainly better than it was a moment ago. So hopefully you can all hear me. I know that things are a little bit upsetted right now, but at least they waited till the end of the broadcast to do so. But let's go over your finishing results. Logan Pax picking up his 3rd win of the season. He was your pole sitter as well, and he'll win the race by about 4 seconds. But man, it was close. Tim Salvatore only ran slightly slower on those last couple laps and just barely missing out on the opportunity to get the win of his own here tonight. So Tim Salvatore will come across the line in the 91 car second, getting his best finish of the season so far. The very young season, that being only race number 4, and I think Tim has the potential in a very similar circumstance, or maybe with even without the need for cautions, to get that first win that I know at this point with some great podium finishes to his name he's going to be longing for. Carl Dronka gets his first podium of the season in the number 38 car. He'll round out the top 3. Great race for him today. It just seemed like he was one of those guys that we talk about through a lot of races that just has to keep his name in contention for the win. And if some things go wrong with the rest of the field, especially top guys like Andrew Bedrosian, that's when they can kind of step in there and make some moves for positions of their own. So great race tonight for Carl Dronka. Woody Mahan there in the 84 car, finishing in 4th, just ahead of Trevor Anderson. You saw that photo finish coming to the line. Trevor will finish in 5th, and both guys who are... Woody was, I think, 4th in points coming in. Those points will help out his efforts. And same to Trevor Anderson, who was kind of sitting mid-pack, missed the first race of the season, so his points haven't quite reset yet with the drop race. But once they do, I'd imagine he will definitely be in contention for the championship, top kind of 6-7 range. I noticed that the internet is still dropping out a little bit, so hopefully that's at a considerable enough position to go through these final couple spots. But after that, David Paxa just outside of the top 5. Remember, he was so close there to a 4th place position. Lost it there in the final lap through the second chicane. It's a shame to see, but he did everything he possibly could tonight. And 6th place points, can't be upset with that for the kind of race he had. So great work tonight from David Paxa. Same with Manuel Guerra, moving up from the tail of the field all the way to 7th. Another great performance for another driver tonight that for so long has just kept it consistent, kept it on track, and has been getting better and better. So there's a large pack of those guys that's only improving, and the potential is starting to be fulfilled throughout many guys in this series, which is great to see from a director's perspective. But Caleb Campbell and Marshall Crocker in that, 9th and 8th respectively, kind of flipped that around. But Marshall Crocker Sr., again, so close to the podium. Unfortunately, just barely mistimed his fuel, and he'll come across tonight with 8th place points, but in a field of 16 cars, still nothing to scoff at. That's above halfway, so great performance for Marshall Crocker Sr. tonight as well. After that, Caleb Campbell in the 9th spot, finishing in the 9th place car. Again, a guy that I think could have genuinely battled for a podium had his fuel strategy similar to Crocker's worked out a little bit better in his favor. But unfortunately it didn't, so he'll have to settle for 9th tonight. But again, going forward, always the potential for improvement from Caleb Campbell, and we've seen it so far, and I'd imagine we'll see it going forward. Andrew Bedrosian will round out the top 10, and man, the guy that ran the fastest lap of the race, probably led the most laps of the race, absolutely dominant for large portions of that event, and shame to see. It's a shame to see it end like that for him, and I know he's had a couple that haven't quite gone his way in the past, but he always seems to fight back the next week and come back with a vengeance, so he still can first win of the season, but I think he'll get it sooner rather than later. Jack Hillier and John Garrow ran out the next 2 spots. John Garrow, who left the race a little bit early, but again, another driver who was legitimately battling for the top 3 spots, was in the podium positions for a large portion of that last 10 laps. So John Garrow, it's a shame to see him head out early like several other guys would, but congratulations to him. He should feel really happy with that finish as well. Justin Lewick, who had internet issues at the start of the race, definitely would have competed for a good spot, especially with all the chaos all throughout the field. Definitely think he could have been in the podium spots if not for his internet, but both him and I have had internet issues very recently throughout this race even, so I can certainly sympathize with his cause. So shame to see for Justin Lewick, but I'm sure he'll come back next week at Mossport, a track that I know he knows very well, and he'll try to compete once again, and I'd imagine we could be seeing him and throwing his name in the hat for first-time winners this season. After that, Max Preston, a good friend of Justin's, will round out the top 14, and Tanner Dignard in 15th, as well as Rich Foligno, all left very early into the event. Not sure if it was internet or outside circumstances or what, but I know they didn't run out of quick repairs, so not exactly sure what happened there, and it's a shame to see them look at the points they probably deserve, but no, it's a long season. We have drop races, so the potential for those guys to move their way up the championship order is still present. And then, of course, Joshua Jablonski, not a driver in the series currently, just spotting for Caleb Campbell tonight. He just ran some laps in practice, so he shows up on the graphics. Now let's hope the internet holds out for the interviews, because it's always very awkward when I have it break down then. But for the time being, we'll pull everything off your screen, get ready to go to tonight's first interview with third-place finisher Mr. Carl Dronka. I have new graphics, actually, for the podium spots, but because I don't have Carl's actual paint scheme, I was unable to get his graphic made in time, so for the time being, it'll just be the usual old interview graphic, but for the next couple drivers, that being second and first place Salvatore and Paxo, we will have a little bit fancier of a graphic to work with this time. So, again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching through the entire race. We'll get to your interviews in just a moment. Well, for the time being, it actually doesn't look like we have Carl in the booth yet, or at least not in the waiting room, so we'll give it just a moment, maybe see if we can get him. We might go to Tim Salvatore first, and just see if we can get Carl to hop in. Doesn't look like he's online currently, so we'll see about that, but regardless, Carl will maintain his third place position in the race tonight, so that'll definitely help him in the point standings. But if we do have to wait, we're going to head to Tim Salvatore first, so let's head to Tim Salvatore's feed. But actually, we don't even need to use that crummy little graphic on the bottom, because we have this big fancy new graphic. Ooh, yay. Finally got some proper interview graphics up in here. So, Mr. Tim Salvatore, there were all of his statistics prior to tonight's event, and now he can add a second place finish onto those top fives and the points there, and we'll move up into the point standings. I thought he was in third already, he was in fourth, but now we'll most certainly take over that third place spot in the points. And now let's head to the interview. Hey Tim, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Gotcha, Marshall. How's it going tonight?
Oh, it's going pretty well. Just a quick disclaimer before we start. I'm having some internet issues. Not sure if you can hear them coming through, but if anything drops out, just know it's on my end, not yours, and we will get things figured out. But yeah, I'm having a pretty good night so far. It was a pleasure to watch that entire race. Things seem to go well broadcast-wise, but on your end, getting your best finish of the season so far, doing so with a second-place performance, and you know, you were so competitive at Road America in the second round. You were so competitive at Roval, but you come into tonight, you have a lot of pace. Guys seem to have some troubles around you. I know Andrew had his difficulties, but all throughout the event, you just stayed up front there. And coming to the end of the race, what was your comfort level with Monza? I know you did the practice race to start the week out at the beginning, but how much time did you put in? How comfortable were you feeling with your ability to catch Logan there on the restart? And what was your plan coming to the green flag with 2 to go?
Honestly, I'm pretty comfortable with Monza, so that's kind of a non-issue. Like I did the one practice race, but didn't need to really do the second practice race. I put enough laps in here, not really particularly in the Indy Pro, but just kind of overall in iRacing and other stuff. But I mean, honestly, my goal with that last restart, I wanted Paxton to go, and I wanted him to go quickly off the start, so then I could get a nice little gap back to third place, and I was completely content on sticking with second. I just kind of let Paxa go, and I was dealing with some of my own issues with my 4-legged friend wanting me to throw a ball around while we were on the straights, so I just made sure to pace myself, not try and catch Paxa, and throw a dog toy every once in a while.
Well, that's an element I haven't really thought about in racing, but as somebody with a 4-legged friend of their own, it's something I know can be very brutal. But I'm glad you were able to overcome those circumstances and come away with the second tonight, your best, as I said, finish of the season. But well, now we head on to the next couple set of races, as we've seen in the first 2 rounds and then round 4 with the road courses. You seem very comfortable, very quick, and very capable. So we head to Mosport next week, and then we have a bit of a road course stint up to round 7, which is Indy. We head to Mosport next week. What's your comfort with the Mosport track? As many of the Canadian guys have you ever been there in real life? Raced on the real surface, and just going forward, do you think you can take this second, maybe make it into something better next week at Mosport?
First of all, I hope I can race next week, just with the scheduling conflict. But hopefully I can make it out there. I do quite enjoy Mosport. Again, like I keep saying, I think Andrew and Logan are kind of a bit out of touch, but I have been getting a little bit closer. I had a poor qualifying effort today. Didn't show my pace in qualifying as like I had in practice there, where I was only about 2-3 tenths off of Logan and Andrew, but really kind of messed up in qualifying, but it didn't affect me in the race. So hopefully next week I can qualify a little bit better, and maybe I'll have a less eventful race, because I think the first 4 races of the year so far have been very eventful. I've gone to the back, gone to the front. Last week I was down a couple laps, came up, finished 5th. This race I was down in like 12th or 13th after a first lap incident, ended up finishing 2nd. So I mean, I wouldn't mind something that's a little less eventful.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, but hey, if anything, I think it just means we can never really count you out of races. You came from 11th at Road America. You came from, as you said, very far back in the field today. Always the potential, if you're back there at the back, to make some moves and get your way up here to the front. So something to look out for in the future. But just final question. After coming out of today at Monza, we know a lot of the drivers from previous series, from the old Carts to Computers series. How would you categorize your ability at certain disciplines? I know we come out here tonight to Monza, a very high-speed road course with some F1 background, but we did Road America, more of an IndyCar background, with that kind of knowledge base, a track that's a little bit more technical. And then last week at Texas with the Oval, which I know didn't in the end work out as well as you probably hoped for points, just barely missing out there on the top spots. But thinking about your abilities, how would you categorize your skills at different courses, and what kind of driver would you categorize yourself as to the people at home?
I'm pretty comfortable everywhere. The only thing I don't really like is the Roval circuits. So I mean, that was pretty evident in my first race there, where I only finished 4th, and the last 2 road courses getting a 3rd and a 2nd. Even the ovals, I don't like them, but I'm pretty comfortable on them. So yeah, I don't have any issues with anything. So yeah, Mosport coming up next week. It's a track I know there's not too many corners to actually memorize there, but there are some definitely some really tough corners, some blind corners, and then the hairpin there, which is a really tricky corner. It's gonna really catch a lot of people out. I mean, it catches me out all the time. So it'll be an interesting race next week. Not a lot of passing zones and some really off-camber stuff that is hard to deal with.
It'll be something different for sure. I can guarantee that. But yeah, first of all, again, congratulations, Tim. It was an absolute pleasure to watch you tonight. You came through the field once again, got your best finish of the season. I know, again, this will not be the last time I talk to you in the foreseeable future in the next couple rounds, especially not if most sport goes as well as you think it will. So, well, this is your opportunity, as we do with every interview. You can give a shout out to anybody at home, say anything you want to. It's the opportunity afforded to those who finish in the podium or do as well as you did tonight.
Just congratulations to everyone else today in the race, and thanks to my four-legged friend Sasha for really keeping me company while we were on those caution laps.
Yes, those could drag a little bit, and I'd imagine having a little buddy there would help with those. So hi to Sasha, shout out to her, and yeah, just thank you so much for coming out tonight, Tim. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Looking forward to seeing you out, and if you come out to the practice races this next week. And in terms of the schedule and conflict, I can guarantee you that we will get something figured out, because a race that at this point that doesn't have you in it isn't really a Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series race at all. So have a good rest of your week, have a good rest of your weekend, and we will see you out. Not probably next Friday, but whenever the Okay, well, not sure what the condition of things is. Again, very glad that the internet issues waited till the end of the broadcast, but we'll try to get your interview with Logan here done and good, and hopefully that can hold out for a little bit longer. And again, getting slowly better with figuring out what the issues I have on this end are, so hopefully next week they will be all good. But here's your graphic for tonight's race winner, Logan Paxa. We will pull into the booth momentarily for your final interview of the night. I can confirm that Carl Dronk, your third place finisher, will not be able to make it for the interview tonight, but going forward, hopefully we'll get that figured out, and I'd imagine for the 38 car, that will not be the last time that we see him on the podium this season. Let's pull Logan into the booth and get your interview of the night, your final interview of the night, on the way. Hey Logan, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Yep.
Well, just a disclaimer that I gave to Tim. We're having a little bit of connectivity issues here, so actually they just got themselves figured out a little bit, but if things head offline at any point, just know it's on my end, not yours. But well, first of all, congratulations, Logan. You sweep the road courses to start off the year, at least the first three. You come out of Texas last week that I know had a lot of adversity for many drivers, including yourself. But you know, you come out this week, you come to Monza. I know that in the practices it looked like Andrew was going to be quick. I know Justin was running quick times. So coming into tonight, did you think this was perhaps the race that you were finally going to get one-upped, or did you feel as confident in that your finishing position seems to show, and your ability and your pace here at Monza?
Into this race, I felt I was definitely challenged by more people. I think every single race I've been challenged by Andrew, but I definitely think Tim was there. Carl showed a lot of pace in qualifying. He was maybe only a tenth off in race pace. So there were definitely more people that I had to worry about. I didn't actually have as much pace as Andrew. I made some very crucial mistakes in the early stages of the race, you know, locking up into turn one, those kinds of things. But ultimately, I would say luck and just a little bit of smart driving got me the win.
Yeah, I wouldn't discount that performance. I mean, even when you got on the different field strategy than Andrew, you were still running quick times. I think you were going to start making some time up on you.
The overcut. So I just thought to myself about the time he would gain under new tires. So what I did was, when he pit, the 2 laps afterwards, I pushed as hard as I could and got a couple off tracks in the process. That way I would gain as much time as I possibly could while he had cold tires, and then perhaps I wouldn't lose as much time on when I got on cold tires.
Right, and once things all factored out, I think we were going to have a really good battle to the finish. It was just a shame that all those late cautions had to kind of muck up that battle for the win. But once that happened, we come to the last couple laps, it was originally looking like it was going to be a 6-lap dash to the finish, but then that final caution set it to be, I think it was 2 or 3 to go. I think it was 3 to go. So, starting on that restart, you talked about how quick Tim was all the way throughout the race. Were you thinking Tim was going to have the pace there to beat you? I know he talked about his strategy on the start was to try to, give you the run there on the first straightaway so he could use the slipstream to make the pass into one. Did you have a defensive strategy in mind, specifically pertaining to Tim's driving style, or were you just going to see luck of the draw, see what happened?
I knew coming into those last couple laps that I had a little bit more pace than Tim, but the straights are so long at Monza that you lose a tenth on someone, they can come back from 3/10 and pass you into the next corner. So I was really focusing on trying to get a good jump, which I did. I believe Tim might have gotten just a little bit startled by the guys going too wide behind him. So that led to me actually being able to pull away a little bit more than I think he would have wanted. Because I assumed that his plan was back off a little bit, get a really good toe into the second chicane, get me there, and try and use the dirty air to hold me back. Which would have worked had he not made a tiny little mistake in the first chicane.
That mistake was all that you needed there at the end to just pull away, and you're running great laps there to finish it off, so you did everything you needed to. But, we come out of this, again, you've swept the road courses to start the year. I know Andrew didn't have the situation he would have liked, but guys like him, you got a lot of competition in this next couple races, and if tonight is anything to go off of, it'll be a very entertaining next couple of broadcasts on our end. But talk about Motorsport next week. I mean, for any of the Canadian drivers, got to have a special place in your heart. One very close to us that I know a lot of drivers have had the pleasure to run at. I can't remember if in your own in your own driving engagements, if you've run the actual track. I know you've obviously probably run the karting track in your own side of things, but what's your experience in real life with the track? How do you feel about next week's race, and do you think we could be seeing you sweep the first 4 road courses of the season rather than just 3?
Well, 4 is it's a little much to go for. I think it's going to catch up with me soon. But I have a lot of personal attachment to that track. I've won national races there, in the karting track, obviously. And, that track has a lot of historic value as well. So I'm definitely excited to go there, not to mention it's a really fun track. Overall I'm just really excited to go there. Should be fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that's a sentiment that many other guys will agree with. It's one of my favorite tracks personally, and it's always a pleasure to put it on the calendar and see if guys can get some good races out of it. But that being said, now's the opportunity. You're very familiar with this. I think this is like coming up to our 20th interview or something in these races. You're always here at the end of the night. We should just I should just stop trying to send you texts and stuff about updates. I should just count on the fact that you'll be here so I can just talk to you about whatever it may be. But it's always a pleasure to have you here, and this is your opportunity where you can thank people at home. Again, as always, plenty of people in the chat cheering for you, and you and your dad, who also had a pretty good race. So, it's your opportunity to talk about whatever you want. Thank anybody at home. It is your time.
I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank Special Interest Auto. And I'd like to thank you, Marshall.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give that thanks right back to you. Man, by the end of these races, it can get a little bit tiring with the voice. But it's always a pleasure to watch you out there. You keep a standard for people to live up to. It's always the most exciting part of my race to see what times you put in and practice. It gives me at least a bar to look up to when I'm putting in my own practice time. So hopefully we'll get some more opportunities to race each other in the future in the virtual track. And I don't know if we're doing an all-star race yet this season, but if we do, I cannot wait to try to put my skills to the test against yours. Thank you as always, Logan. Have a great rest of your week. Just to let you know in advance, and to all the people at home, we may need to make some time changes or postponement for next week's race, or maybe a little bit earlier. The Friday may not work because some people have commitments elsewhere on iRacing, but regardless to what it is, we'll see you next week, and looking forward to seeing what you do in Motorsport.
Sounds good, Marshall.
Awesome. Thanks, Logan. Have a good rest of your week.
You too.
With that, that'll round off your final interview of the night here with Mr. Logan Paxa, your race winner and still championship leader coming out of tonight's race at Monza. Well, for the final time, we'll get up your final finishing positions for tonight's race, and then, well, we will head off because it's been a little bit of a long broadcast. I am absolutely dying. My internet's actually evened out a little bit now, so good to see. Hopefully that sticks through for the next couple minutes while we finish up here, but there are once again your final results for tonight's race. Logan Paxa picking up his 3rd win of the season. Tim Salvatore getting his 2nd top 3 and his first second of the year. Best finish he's had in the series, or the history of this series. Carl Dronke rounding up the top 3 spots. Carl Dronke. Have I been mispronouncing his name again? It's a possibility. But he gets his first podium of the season. So congratulations to Mr. Carl Dronke. It's been an incredible time to watch him return to this series, or make his first debut in this series. He's a guy I've raced against for a long time, so to see his skills in a skip arbor transfer over to the Indy Pro has been a joy to watch. So great work for him tonight. Woody Mahan and Trevor Anderson will round out the top 5 spots. Remember, their battle to the finish to round out the broadcast was probably the most entertaining aspect at the end of this race. So thank you to them for making it interesting, and for both getting a top 5 spot. Congrats to them. David Paxa, Manuel Guerra, Marshall Crocker. After that, all the final couple drivers within a minute of your race winner, Logan Paxa. Great races for all of them, all within contention for the podium through multiple points of this race. David Paxa coming close to a 4th there, and Marshall Crocker Sr. was in the podium spots for a while, just unfortunately dropped out there at the end as a result of fuel strategy. Caleb Campbell finishing in the 9th spot, the final driver on the lead lap. Again, another great race for him, but did require another splash of fuel to get to the end. Andrew Bedrosian, another guy with a great race, will run the fastest lap, probably led the most laps. Great performance for him, but the 5 car just gonna have to settle for 10th tonight, and that's nothing but a compliment to his skills that a 10th should be seen as disappointing in a field of 15 or 16. So Andrew Bedrosian, incredible talent. Can't wait to see what he does next week at Mossport. After that, Jack Hillier will finish in 11th. John Garrett in the 11 car finishing in the 12th position. A guy that was in the podium spots. It was up to 2nd there with only a couple laps to go. Unfortunately, his race did not come to an end the way he wanted to, but great performance there for John. He's getting close, and another one of those guys I think we could be seeing in the broadcast booth sooner rather than later. Justin Lewick and Max Preston in 13th and 14th. Of course, Lewick's internet issues giving him the kibosh and his chances for the win, but he had the pace to do so. Definitely could have fought for a podium, so shame to see his night in the way it did as well. Finally, Max Preston, Tanner Dignard, and Rich Foligno all left pretty early into the event with presumably internet troubles, or at least I'd hope that was the case rather than something worse. But hopefully they get that all figured out going forward. And the last thing I want to see is guys leaving a race prematurely because they had outside technical issues. So I know they'll all come back, that being Lewick, Preston, Dignard, and Foligno. And if they can get all those things figured out, we could be seeing some new faces in the top 5 at Mossport. With that being said, it's going to round off tonight's broadcast. I am, of course, Marshall Crocker Jr. signing off. It's been a very fun but very long night. Again, solo commentating can be a blast to do, but can also be a little bit tough on the voice. So it's been a long night. Glad to see our internet stuff got figured out. Going forward, hoping for only bigger and better stuff when it comes to getting that figured out. And well, as I say at the end of every broadcast, thank you everybody for watching so much. We got some great numbers of viewership again. I know the driver turnout was a little bit lower because it is a week removed from our big race where a lot of guys showed up for the oval, because ovals are popular and it was a free track on iRacing's end. But thank you all who stuck with it. Thank you all for those of you who watch the interviews. It always means a lot to me to know that people still try to stay for those, and it's always important to me to do them because it's first of all fun to talk to the drivers, and I hope fun from the crowd perspective to hear from the guys on track. That being said, though, have a great rest of your week, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be back next week. Not sure what night. Again, as I talked about in that last interview with Logan, we have some commitments for other guys in iRacing for the Daytona 24-hour race, including me. I will be in it, but I'm running the stint the next day, so the timing commitment isn't a problem. But some guys have the Friday night shift in that race, so won't be able to run tonight. But regardless of what happens, we'll get things figured out. We'll get a race for you next week at Mossport. And until then, have a great rest of your week, everybody. For Marshall Crocker Jr. and the entire Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series driver lineup, signing off. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.